Welcome to Backpacker Radio, presented by The Trek. I am your co-host, Zach Badger Davis. Sitting to my right is...
Hi, I'm Juliana Chaunce, a.k.a. Chaunce.
Sitting to her right is...
Hi, I'm Elise Ott. They call me Sauce on Trail.
And we'll do our guest panelist intro in a second. We're going to do a couple of quick segments, and then, because I want the fuller introduction. She's a very notable backpacker, so I don't want to tie it up before we get to some stupid segments here. And the first one of those is Treasure Hunt. This is a brand new one. And this might be a one-off, or maybe not. We'll see. Chaunce had a good idea. But so I did a very short backpacking trip over the past weekend. And when I got home from my backpacking trip, I realized that I was down a pair of merino wool socks from -33. And I know exactly where they are. It was a makeshift campsite off of the section that were the Gold Hill Trailhead near Breckenridge. Just stupidly left them on a tree stump. So in an effort to not litter, I am going to post the location on our Instagram the day that this episode launches. And the first person to retrieve these, because I don't want to leave trash out on the trail. I'm not that sort of person.
Send us a photo.
Send us a photo. I'm not going to say what color the socks are, so you can't just go out and buy new socks and be like, I got these. No, they got to be my stinky-ass socks. The only person that picks up these socks and sends us a photo, you can keep the socks. Or you can send them back. I guess it doesn't matter. Will win a green juice travel pack from Organifi. We've had a lot of people ask, for people that have listened back to, I think it was mine and Jabba's first episode, we talked about the green doo-doo powder.
Green doo-doo powder.
Yeah. If you're doing long-distance backpacking, it's nice to get some nutrition in your diet. And I think Organifi makes as good of a product as anybody else out there. I have been using these habitually for the last month and a half. I'm a big fan. So this is a pretty sweet prize. I think it retails for $60-$70, something in that range. They're not cheap. So the first person to retrieve these will win those. I will send them to you. And I'm also going to send you a new pair of merino wool socks because I'm feeling very generous today and I've got a beer and a half in me. Question of the day. I have a burp I'm fighting off right now. There we go. What's your favorite part of being a lady backpacker?
Huh.
Silence.
Gosh, it's just a different world that you would never imagine. When we get on the trail, believe it or not, everything in our perspective just turns pink. It's like you have those color changing goggles on. And there's little butterflies that fly out of the ground everywhere.
That was my guess, actually.
Yeah, and then sometimes when you have trouble setting up camp, forest critters will come and they'll help you. Mm-hmm. I have long hair and it tangles easily, so when the birds come and they like to comb it, that's really useful too. And I don't think guys have that same experience.
Yeah. Thank you for confirming all my stereotypes.
Yes.
Elise?
To somewhat prove what Chaunce just said, I think hitching really is a lot easier from
true.
What I've seen.
Yeah.
But that's about the only thing.
No.
When I was hitching out of Glasgow, we stood there for an hour and no one stopped. I took off my shirt. I was still wearing my bra, but I took off my shirt and the first car stopped.
Yeah, of course they did.
We got right back on trail. Sorry, Mom.
And no intro yet, but Larry, Lavendar, I'd love your input on this.
I would say, to go along with that, yes, that's true. Just the empowerment that I think it brings. We're perceived as women who can't do shit. So we get out there and we kick ass and we look better than the males and we kick ass. So I think it's an empowerment that it brings, for sure.
Well said. I can actually verify the hitchhiking with ladies thing because I've never hitchhiked as a female, but I've hitchhiked with females, and the amount of time that you spend waiting for a vehicle is noticeably different. There's some social proof that if a nice lady is going to be standing next to you, that car is way more likely to pick you up.
I would also caveat that with, it's kind of funny because whenever you tell non-hiker people that you hitchhike as a woman, they're like, oh my God, what are you doing? Isn't that terrifying? And the irony of it is that we love it because it's so much easier, I feel like.
Well, I was camping in Twin Lakes the other weekend, and I was driving there with one of my friends who's not a backpacker. And I saw a guy when we were going through Leadville with his thumb out on the side of the road, so I instantly slowed down and went to pull off because I was like, okay, hiker. Realized he wasn't a hiker and did not stop. But she freaked out. She was like, you can't just stop for a hitchhiker and not tell me. Why would you pick up a hitchhiker? And I was like, It's probably a hiker. And she was asking all these scenarios. Like, if you were somewhere completely remote and there was a normal looking person, would you pick them up over someone who was at a trailhead location that you knew was a long distance trail but looked sketchy as shit?
Yeah.
And I was just like, honestly, I'd probably pick up both.
Do you remember that hitchhiker we picked up on the SoCal road trip?
Yeah.
He was a through hiker, and I don't remember much about the interaction. I just remember him at one point being like, yeah, us through hikers, we drink a shit ton of milk.
Oh, I remember him being like, so I accidentally kicked a bird.
Was it a grouse?
I don't know, but he was somewhat bent up about it.
Okay. Let's get to the meat of today's show. This is Girl Stuff 2.0. We did the original Girl Stuff episode, what was that, a year ago? A year and a half? Some time ago.
A long time ago.
And needless to say, it was very popular, so we thought we'd run it back with a couple of new inputs on the subject. As I said in the original episode, my job here is just to get the fuck out of the way. I will sometimes assist with asking questions or ask for follow-up because I'm very dumb, and I think I can speak for the other very dumb people out there. But otherwise, my job is just to sit and listen. Before we get into the questions here, now is the time where I'd like to do the intro. My buddy Larry Boy, who recently moved to Boulder, Colorado. Could you give us your backpacking resume?
My backpacking resume. Yes. So really people know me as Lavendar.
I keep saying Larry Boy. I can't shake the old habit. I apologize.
It's okay. Yeah, you and Jabba call me Larry. And so in 2016, I hiked that Sobo, the Appalachian Trail. I got the trail name, well, really it was Grandma first, and I wasn't having that. So I was like, because I hurt my knee, and, you know, people make fun of you on the trail. So Grandma, and then it was Lavendar. So a lot of people know me as Lavendar. So 2016, Sobo, Appalachian Trail. 2017, I went and did the Continental Divide Trail, did the Montana section, and everything was on fire. So I got to Wyoming and decided to go do the Colorado Trail. And then after the Colorado Trail, I did bike packing. So I bike packed through Utah, Colorado to Utah through Arizona. And then I've done numerous, all kinds of little trails all through there.
Lots of adventuring.
Yeah.
Very excited to have you on this one. Thank you for doing this. Please go crazy on the beer. Okay.
Give me to talk.
Makes it easier. Makes it easier to open up.
So, Elise, our production assistant, do you have any general guidance? Should I just attack these category by category? Is that?
Yeah, I think I just kind of categorized the questions we got from mostly Instagram.
Okay.
And yeah.
And I will also pass the mic your way in terms of a preface that we'd like to offer for this episode.
Yeah. So just as like a FYI, I guess, all three panelists are people who identify as women, but if this advice resonates with anyone who identifies as a woman or non-binary or applies to you in any way, like, it's not just for people who are assigned female at birth. And we're going to try and be conscious of just like biological differences, obviously, like talking about periods and stuff. Not everyone who has a period is a girl, we know that, and that's just kind of like throwing that out there so that you know what we're trying to communicate as we move through these questions.
Thank you. Okay. Again, my job is to not talk, so I'm going to ask the questions and get out of the way. We have a handful of questions regarding safety here, and the first one is, what tips do you have for hiking alone and staying safe? Because obviously there's the perception that women hiking, especially solo, is an unsafe endeavor.
Mm-hmm. I carry pepper spray. It's fun. It like makes me feel like secure in that if anyone were to approach me in a non-nice way, I would just mace them in the face and run away.
Have you ever had to use it?
No.
Have you ever had to like put your hand on it because you thought you might have to use it?
When I was in Thailand in 2012, 13, I thought I might have to use it. There was a French woman that like was gonna attack me on a bus because I laughed when she was trying to sleep. The bus stopped at a bathroom and I got out to pee and she like found me. This guy had to escort me back to the bus because she was just like livid, and all I did was laugh, and she was asleep in the seat in front of me and she was so mad. So almost then I thought I was gonna get punched in the face, but I didn't. So I have not ever had to use it.
Wasn't expecting that. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other input from our panelists?
I think one thing that is good to do is letting someone know where you're going to be. I know that this is very doomsday-ish, but I tend to kind of go into like worst case scenarios. I get it from my mom, but I'm like, well, worst case scenario, someone's expecting me in 3 hours at this place. So if I don't show up, they'll be looking for me by then. And then also if like an inReach or some sort of GPS device.
Yeah, I'm probably the worst at this. I started the Appalachian Trail with a spot, and like I don't even think it was activated. I don't even. But I carried a pocket knife. Yeah, that works. But that's the only thing I've ever carried. I mean, of course, there's always things that could make you feel uncomfortable out there, but I think it's just like using your intuition and your feeling and knowing like what situation you're in, and that'll get you back to safety. But yeah, I just carry a pocket knife, but I think and it's definitely safe to bring an inReach in a spot.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it was on actually at that time.
One thing I've done as well is that if I'm hitchhiking, I will take a photo of the license plate, like not an obvious, hey, let me snap a photo thing, but I'll take a photo of the license plate. And if I'm in cell reception, I'll send it to someone and I'll say, hey, I'm hitching from here to here. Here's a photo. Mm-hmm. We did that when we hitched to the start of the JMT because it was like an hour and a half long hitch out of Mammoth to where we were going. And so maybe we were in Lone Pine. It was in Lone Pine because we dropped off the car. And so I just took a picture and then I texted it to someone at home and I was like, hey, we're hitching from here to here. I'll text you like when we get back to service, but just in case, like here's this photo.
Yeah, I've done that too. Like I've hitchhiked outside of backpacking. That person that you said you'd never pick up, and that's immediately what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess my bigger overarching question, I think parlays well into this next question, is I guess general tips for making yourself feel safe. And I guess the bigger question with this is, can you address how you have felt safety-wise while backpacking? Because I think this is making the assumption that you do feel unsafe. And I think that is obviously like a large perception for women traveling solo. Is that true in your experience?
So the times I feel unsafe on trail most often are at night when things are like cracking around my tent. So I'll fall asleep, like if I'm like freaking out, like when I was on the Colorado Trail and there was an animal outside my tent and it sounded big. Like I fall asleep with my knife in one hand and my pepper spray in my other hand. And then it's like, should something come in my tent, be it like an animal or a person, like even if I'm not leaving that tent ever again, like I'm going to try very hard to make sure you don't leave either. So sleeping with both of those in my hands are very comforting because they're already right there. During the day, I don't oftentimes feel as unsafe. But if like I pass someone who I think is like looking kind of sketchy, I will maybe quicken my pace a bit. There was one time on the AT, we stopped at a shelter in Pennsylvania, and the guy asked where we were camping that night. He was the only one there. But it seemed like a bit weird that he was asking that, so we were just like, oh, we don't know yet. And we just like hiked a few more miles. Yeah. There's always, I mean, for a lot of times, if you're on a more popular trail, there's people around. And if you don't feel safe, you could always, like, link up with someone. So there's always opportunities to not be by yourself, feeling unsafe if you're on one of the more popular trails.
Yeah, when I was on the Appalachian Trail, I felt really safe the whole time. Like, obviously, I flew out there by myself, and I never felt, like, scared of my safety. But I was in Pennsylvania. This is like the one time where I still felt very confident in my feelings that I could protect myself. This person was being very weird. Okay, this is a really weird story. So I did not have a phone at the time because another story, I was almost struck by lightning and my phone fried. It was crazy, but I didn't have a phone. And so I'm walking in the woods, like, I know. So I'm walking in the woods and it's raining and I'm like really happy. I'm like, oh my God, it's raining. Like, I don't know why I'm enjoying this, but I am. And I'm like dancing and singing. And then all of a sudden this guy looking deranged, like runs up to me and he's holding a butter knife. And I'm like, what the fuck? Okay. And I'm like, hi, sir. Can I help you? And he's like, I'm lost. I don't know where to go. Like, I don't know where I came from. And he's holding a camera, like a really expensive camera, but he doesn't have shoes on either. Not that those relate. But, so no shoes, a butter knife, and a really expensive camera. And he's like, I was shooting someone and I got lost. They went back to their car and I don't know where I am. And he's like freaking out. And obviously I'm not going to be hurt by a butter knife, I guess. I don't know. And so he's like, can I follow you back to the trailhead? And at this time I'm like, oh, this is the day. This is it. And long story short, he just keeps following me, and he's like, you're going the wrong way. And I'm feeling very positive from where I'm going. Like, I'm going the right way. I know, because I have like gut hooks. And
You don't have a phone.
But I don't have a phone. That's right. Oh my god! Wow.
Sorry to ruin that part of your story.
You ruined my story. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so I didn't know where I was going. I was following the trail. Anyway, it's just like really weird. I keep asking him all these questions, like, where are you going? What have you been doing? Where's the town you're from? Like, all these questions, trying to get to know this person. I don't know. Finally, he just said, you're going the wrong way. And he takes off running the other way, still holding a butter knife. And I don't know what happened. So I hiked, like, I think it was like 15 more miles that day to get to a town. And I was just kind of terrified for a second, like, oh, this guy's going to follow me and he's going to get me with this butter knife. But he didn't. And I ended up getting a phone, which I feel like, you know, taking those, I don't think I had a knife at that time either, or obviously a spot that worked. That's my story of feeling uncomfortable, but that was the one time. And other than that, I felt, you know, pretty safe. And that was the one time I hiked by myself for like a week. And no one was there. Except for him.
Except for the man with the butter knife. Oh, man.
Sorry to frighten you all in the very beginning.
No, that is a very strange story.
Super weird.
Yeah.
If it's any consolation, yeah, I feel like that's super rare on most trails.
It is.
Yeah, I feel like this question, it depends on what it is you're feeling unsafe about. I think for this episode, maybe we'll just operate under the assumption that it's potentially other people or the specific implications of being alone as a woman. But whenever people ask me that question, I honestly always say I feel so much safer in the backcountry than I do ever walking through the city. Like, I live in downtown Denver and I walk to and from work every day, and honestly I usually feel fine. I've had some weird encounters, way more weird encounters. Actually, pretty much every day I have a weird encounter in downtown Denver.
What was today's?
I didn't walk today.
Oh, okay.
But like an example of a scary one, I'll tell a scary one, then I'll tell a funny one. But a guy like who I think clearly, obviously, he needed help. And there used to be a really large encampment on my street. And one day, randomly, I was talking on the phone with my friend, and he just started following me and yelling like obscenities at me and saying like, you fucking B-word, like blah blah blah, all this other stuff. And someone else in the encampment was like, hey dude, like leave her alone. Like, someone stuck up for me basically and called him off. I don't know, it was really weird. I don't know if it was like me talking on my phone that triggered him or something, but anyway, a weird story is like one time a lady wanted to sell me some leggings. Like, she was just like, do you like leggings?
Were they the TikTok leggings?
Oh, I've seen those on someone. I actually saw those on a person in person. Her butt looked phenomenal.
Yes.
And I was like, seeing those online, like, these things are so fake. Like, they never actually show up in the mail or whatever. And then a girl walked past me in them, and I was like, shit, I need a link.
I've seen those too, and yeah, they work just as well in person as
What
they
are
do.
TikTok leggings? Is something that's sold
It's like these
exclusively
leggings
on
on TikTok that, like, make your butt look phenomenal.
They're not sold on TikTok, but
Uh-huh.
women,
It's a
well,
trend.
You see a lot of butts on
Or-
TikTok that have them on them.
make your ass
Got
look.
it.
Yeah. Plump.
Noted.
But yeah, I think what I would say is, one, it's a lot less scary than you think in the backcountry because there's a lot less of the factors that might typically make you feel unsafe if that's what you're worried about. And tips for feeling more safe, I think, are some of the stuff we touched on, like either having like some sort of personal defense thing and knowing how to use it. Personally, when people are like, do you carry anything? I'm like, pepper spray, and that's it, because if I had a knife, I feel like the other person would just take it out of my hands.
Oh, see, I feel like it would be like when you tickle someone and they lose control of their arms and they just start swinging them. I feel like that'd be me with the knife, just like hoping something hits.
I feel like you on tickle defense.
You just tickle whoever's coming at you.
Yeah.
So, Lavendar and Chaunce, I'm curious, would you corroborate what Elise said about generally feeling safer on trail versus like your day-to-day normal life?
Yeah, if we're talking like people-wise, definitely. Like I don't really fear bears coming to get me at night when I'm in my day-to-day life. So definitely animals more so on trail. But people-wise, like if it's nighttime and I don't want to camp by myself because I'm afraid of animals, I will hike until I find a tent, and then I'll set up my tent like near that tent. And it's like, I have no idea who that person is, but that comforts me more so than freaks me out.
Hiking to the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, I think the farther into the backcountry you go, the more they, like, the farther apart those two things get. Like, the farther in the backcountry I am, the less afraid I am of people and the more afraid I am of, like, the elements or animals or whatever. And I think it's just, with that stuff, it's kind of like knowing what to do, I think.
I agree, yeah. That strange encounter is like a typical encounter for Elise in Denver, so.
Yeah.
It's very safe. I've always felt very safe in the backcountry.
Lavendar, what was your adventure or like solo traveling experience prior to the AT?
Moving away from my hometown? No, really none. Like I had done hiking by myself, but like on little like 1 to 5 mile hikes in the Ozarks of Arkansas. That's where I'm from. But other than that, really nothing.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm sure this is a question that you've encountered often. How do you answer the question, are you hiking alone?
What's it to you?
This also comes in variations such as, oh, where's your boyfriend?
No one's ever truly alone.
I'm sorry, I'm out here with my multiple personalities.
Chaunce turns into a philosopher.
What does alone mean?
What is alone?
Really, I think that there comes like a sense of like pride almost, just saying like I am alone. What's it to you? Like what Chauncey just said, but really, in order to depends on how you take what they are saying, or what their like intent feels like.
Yeah, like do you know them? Are they another hiker that you've been like seeing at different campsites but never talking to yet, or is it just like a complete stranger? Sometimes just answering that and saying no, and then just not saying anything else like makes it really uncomfortable and weird for the other person, because it's like, how do you follow that up? So sometimes if like you don't want to tell them and they're not someone that you're comfortable, with, that you've seen around, just say no and then just keep looking at them, and then they'll feel really weird.
And if you can't stand confrontations like me,
You just walk away.
You can say, well, I think it goes back to kind of to what you were saying, like really trusting your gut and kind of sussing out the situation. If it's someone who's clearly just curious or like a fellow hiker who wants to hike alone but maybe doesn't have the confidence, then I'm like, yeah, I'm out here alone. Like, that's not weird. A lot of people do it. But if it's someone who is giving you the heebie-jeebies, you can be like, oh, no, like, I've got some friends. They're just a little slower. Or like, oh, no, my friends are just way faster than me. Mm-hmm. And, like, who knows if they've passed any other people, but...
And then you're like, are you alone?
Yeah. I was going to say, you can
With
give
your
them...
butter knife.
You can give them the heebie-jeebies back. Like, if they ask you that, you could just not say anything and, like, run to the nearest tree and start climbing up it. Like, do something completely... unexpected and give them the heebie-jeebies.
Elise, I'm curious, do you ever have to err on the side, like if you're on the fence about someone, or like, they might not be giving you the worst instinct, but you're not totally certain? I imagine that you hear all these stories about serial killers being like the most charismatic people, so just taking it at face value for somebody seeming nice, but perhaps their intentions are bad. Do you ever put your guard up in that sense?
That's a good point, and that I've thought about that a lot in regards to hitchhiking in the PNW, because people are always like, ooh, you hitchhike up there? Like, so many people just go missing. That's really, I think I tend to, and I don't know that this is the safest route, but I tend to err on the side of believing that people aren't out to like come and kill me. Mm-hmm. So I'm usually pretty honest, but I also don't think that I have had people very often ask me if I'm hiking alone. It's actually usually more like, oh, is your boyfriend? Are you out here with your boyfriend? Which is kind of annoying assumption on a lot of different levels.
Is that someone trying to flirt with you?
No, not all. Sometimes it's like other women who I think are there. Maybe they just have never branched out on their own, and like they're thinking about it from their experiences or the experiences they've heard about from other people. I don't know. It probably is maybe a bit of both. I'm kind of oblivious sometimes, but I mean, I try to trust my gut, but I think a lot of times I probably share more than I should, and then I just don't stick around if it feels weird.
I think our like heightened sense is like pretty heightened, so we assume good, and I think everyone's intent is usually good, especially if they're out on a trail somewhere.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, things have happened.
Yeah, I feel like to that point, back to what we were talking about before, like, it's a lot of effort to go and, like, find someone on a trail 5 miles or however far you are into the backcountry, if, like, you're not doing a day hike or whatever. Like, that's a very rare, I feel like, and dedicated effort if it's something malicious. Whereas, like, you could walk down the street.
I mean, sometimes I can't even find my trail friends, and they're like within a mile of me somewhere, and I'm just like, I have no idea if I'll ever see you guys again. Yeah. I will say one time, like, one thing you can do, and I didn't do this because I didn't feel safe. I think I just like wasn't feeling very social and didn't want to talk to this person, and they were really chatty. I was hiking in front of them, and I knew they were behind me, like a brake's length behind. Like, we had stopped at the same spot, and then like I kept going because I just didn't want to talk to people. I just like went into the woods as if I was gonna poop. And I just, like, sat down on my backpack, and eventually I saw the person walk right by, and I just ate a snack there and waited a bit, and then I was behind him, and he had no idea. And then I just took my time for the rest of the day.
Chaunce wins the award for the most creative ways of getting out of things. Just fake a poop. Have you ever joined an online group or event, and how do you feel safe going? I don't know if I totally understand the question.
I think this might be about, like, hiking groups that are, I mean, I think those exist.
Like those weirdos that do hiker meetups.
Yeah, freaks.
Hate them. Never go to one of those.
Yeah, maybe it's like
come to the one we're doing in
Colorado
Wisconsin.
Trail hiker groups or whatever.
Yeah. Well, the only online meetup I've ever gone to is a hiker meetup. And to be fair, I didn't know a single person, and that is not my strong suit.
And now here you are.
And here I am.
Yeah.
We invited you on purpose, and we were just both lurking the whole time. We're like, have you looked at her yet? I've done 2 laps.
And I, meanwhile, was like, I need to talk to people or this is going to be really weird. So I just forced myself into, like, I saw a circle that looked somewhat approachable, and I was like, hi, I don't know anyone here. My name's Lise. What trails have you hiked?
I mean, honestly, that's every intro conversation at those meetups. So you nailed it. You got an A+.
But also, I will say, there are some, I know that people do this where, like, they'll go on a hike with people they met online. And I think that can be a little more intimidating, right? Because, like, if you're at a brewery, if we're going back to, like, the things that might scare you, there's a lot of people around. Like, you're probably going to be fine. Whereas if you end up online with, like, random people at a trailhead or, like, in the woods, it might feel a little more sketchy. I think one thing you can do, like, no shame in stalking the people that you might end up, like, social media stalking the people you might end up going with. And maybe if you try and, like, developing, like, a friendship with one of them, like, it doesn't have to be a deep friendship, just, like, chat with them a little bit before.
One of their friends on social media?
No. Like, maybe, like, if you see this other person is also going, I could be like, oh, I don't know Chaunce, but I'm going to be like, hey, you're going to that hike thing.
Someone from home reaches out to me, hey, this girl Elise has been messaging me asking about your character.
Doing, like, a background check, showing up at your parents' house.
I will say, to piggyback on that, do not go on a hike as a first date. Like, just don't do it.
Yeah, it's long.
I went on the first date once there, and, like, the second we started the hike, it just was, like, automatically just, like, this doesn't click. Yeah. There's nothing here. And then you have to do this super hard hike with them, and, like, you're sweating, you're out of breath, you, like, don't really want to talk to them. They're intentionally making conversation because it's a date and they're trying to get to know you. And then you're just, like, stuck. There's no way to flee.
Yeah. At a bar, you can get out pretty easily. Or
Yeah,
at least you
I
get to
mean,
get drunk. You make it tolerable.
Well, at a bar, you just drink your drink faster. Then when it's done, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I've got an early morning tomorrow.
I just
can't
forgot.
have
I'm an
another."
alcoholic. I can't do this fight.
There's only so fast you can hike 7 miles with someone.
Yeah.
Right. How to help a girlfriend get more comfortable with sleeping outside? A girlfriend, I'm assuming like a significant other in this context.
Ah, okay.
Just leave them in their tent.
as the boy with a spouse that doesn't really like backpacking totally that much.
Yeah, this feels
how do
like a
you
you
get
question.
Jenna to do it?
I don't. When she expresses interest in wanting to camp or backpack, I'm happy to have her, but I don't push it on her at all. Like, I'm happy to have a hobby that I can do solo, so I'm not gonna like force her to do it. The only person that I forced to do that with me is Sierra, and that didn't go well. We can talk about that on the next episode.
I think taking them out in a situation that's not going to be too difficult for them. Like, obviously, don't take them out and way back in the backcountry where it's going to like drop to like 20 degrees.
Yeah,
Like setting them up for like success to make them feel really good.
good
about
weather,
themselves.
not too difficult terrain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could also condition them. Like, if you start taking them on slowly, like, later and later hikes that go a little closer into the evening or, like, longer ones, and every time you take them, you give them some sort of really nice gift, then they're going to start associating going out in the backcountry with you as getting gifts. And it's going to become something where they're asking you to go, and you're not going to know how the shift happened, but I think that would be very beneficial.
Chaunce is very diabolical, and it also sounds like she's ready to be a parent as well.
Why is that?
That's how you would handle a kid, I think. Maybe not like your spouse. I'm ready to move on to the next category if you guys have anything else to add.
Yeah.
Actually, this question's kind of interesting. How to overcome the fear of sleeping alone?
I think we talked about this a little bit on the beginner backpacking mistakes, but one, just ripping off the Band-Aid and freaking doing it. It's like never going to feel more approachable. Like, it's never going to feel like a good idea if it already doesn't. Just go do it and you'll realize it's not as scary as you think. And then I think it was Chaunce that said, bring like a podcast downloaded, because it's a lot less scary when you aren't wondering what that stick cracking next to your tent was caused by.
Yeah, that was my answer, is headphones on whatever volume is loud enough that you don't hear anything else.
Yeah. I'd also add just having a difficult enough of a hike so you can just sleep. Because, like, if you only do a couple miles and you're not tired, you might be anxious the entire night. But if you do enough distance, you'll probably just pass the fuck out.
The other thing that never used to be possible that now is the Apple AirPods. At least mine somehow does. They didn't before, and I hit something on the side of them, and now they do. They do, like, noise blocking. So I put them in, and then it sounds like I just went, like, underwater 30 feet, and it's just, like, static. You know, like, you can't hear anything else around you. So sometimes I'll just put those in when I'm going to sleep and not even play music. But, like, they're noise canceling, so half of the little twigs just don't make it through.
Actually have a couple of, I know this isn't supposed to be about me, but I have a couple of supplements that I have found very beneficial for sleep, and they're like not heavy duty whatsoever. One of them is magnesium threonate, which apparently crosses the blood-brain barrier, so you absorb it much faster. For me, it just knocks me out. I use that on the last 2 nights I went backpacking. I usually have difficult time falling asleep, and like put me out within 20, 30 minutes. I wasn't even that tired. The other one is Theanine, thank you. How'd you know? And that's supposed to, so that's something they add to energy drinks, which they just jack it up with like caffeine and all these other stimulants, and this helps to get rid of the jitters, so it has the effect of calming you. So if you are dealing with any sort of anxiety, that could be helpful.
I knew that because I take these, they're basically anti-anxiety, but more like a holistic thing.
Yeah.
And they have L-theanine in them.
I have had good success with both of those. Okay. Hygiene. People love this category. I like this question. Curly hair recommendations. Do we have...
My hair is straight as a pin.
Yeah, I see a lot of straight hair in the room.
But I thought about this question. I have one friend that I backpack with that has curly hair, and French braids work really well for her. Obviously, this varies from person to person, and I don't have curly hair, so take it with a grain of salt.
I used to have curly hair, but as I've gotten older, it's straightened because I'm old. Yeah, but yeah, curly hair. Well, on the AT before I cut my hair, I had really long hair, so I would just wear it in a braid. I think Chauncey, you wore your hair in a braid a lot, didn't you?
High pony, but yeah,
High pony.
close. I have a friend that has really curly hair, and she'll put her hair in a hat every day, and she'll pull the ponytail through the hat back, and that's like the only way she can do it.
Why would a ponytail not work for someone with curly hair? Or does it?
It does.
They have like shorter curly hair.
I think as someone without curly hair, hard to say, but I would guess that maybe like tangling might become more of an issue. I don't know for sure, but also I carry like a tiny bamboo brush,
I do carry a brush too.
which was great for me, but also again I don't have curly hair.
Yeah, I brush my hair every night before bed on trail and every morning when I wake up. Otherwise, it gets really knotted. Well, I mean, look at it.
yeah.
It's freaking down
It's
to
a lot
my
of hair. It's
But-
a lot of hair.
So sometimes I'll leave a ponytail holder in from one end of like one town to the next, and I just don't even touch it. But as I've been wearing scrunchies, they do get looser in the night. So I've been just brushing it before I sleep, and then when I wake up, because then it gets the knots out before they start to dread.
Also, as a general hair maintenance note, I carry baby powder for like on the PCT I did. I don't do it on shorter backpacking trips, but if you're someone who gets really greasy hair really easily and that bothers you, baby powder is a good alternative to dry shampoo.
Oh yeah.
Are cleaning wipes necessary?
I think
Depends.
I think it depends. I think I had them like on and off where like it was available to buy them, and I felt really clean during that time, like with especially for my face, because I kind of broke out a lot on the trail, and so I would use them on my face and then like just like underarms, because I didn't wear deodorant on the trail. And so yeah, I would think they are if you have the room to pack them out, and depending on like affordability, because at some places they can get really expensive.
Yeah, agreed. And I carry baby wipes as my poop wiping method. And then if I know I have extra or enough, sometimes I use them. For whatever reason, it feels really good when I wipe the dirt off my ankles. That's like a luxury thing for me.
I was
Your
gonna-
ankles clean.
I like to play tan line or dirt line when I get to town, so I wouldn't clean them in between. But the nice thing about wet wipes as butt wipes is that going front to back, you get like a nice clean in the front and then a wipe in the back.
Exactly.
You know?
Like a downstairs mullet.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was dumb. Is there like a go-to brand? Elise mentioned just like the standard baby wipes that you see, I think, at like any...
If you're doing it in
Convenience store.
resupplies, you just got to get what the store's got. If you are sending every box to yourself, Summer's Eve has a nice wipe that comes in either wipe packets or like individual packets, and those are specifically for your vag, so wipe on.
Alternatively, I will say dude wipes I've found consistently come in like realistic size packs. For me, 15 is like
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
cool, like
Wait, what's
perfect?
dude wipes?
They're just like a brand, and I think they're technically for guys, but
like
unnecessarily
But we don't
gendered
care.
items. But
Yeah.
and the reason I like those is just because of the size. It's if you have to buy the baby wipes, often you have to buy like 100 pack, which I'm sure is great for new parents, but
Go through that in a
you
week.
don't want to carry them on trail. So you can also, what you can do is if you want to split with friends, you can put them in Ziploc baggies and they keep fine.
I will say I'm like dedicated to the wet wipes on the poop end of things, cleaning wise, to the point where like the PCT, there were one or two places in Washington that didn't have baby wipes, so I bought the
Just
Clorox
refuse to
wipes.
poop? Oh.
You put bleach on your
Got a
butthole.
nice asshole bleach in the process.
Wow.
It
this
stung
is-
a little, but it was a cleaner finish than if I had just used
Yeah.
TP.
And that's how Chaunce's OnlyFans account started. Okay. This, I think, is probably similar to the previous question. How do you approach your skincare routine on the trail? Are there any wipes that you guys would use you ladies would use on your face?
So, like, maybe like the Burt's Bees one. I found those.
I don't have enough fucks to give.
Same. I also don't have, I used to think I had sensitive skin, but I think I have less than I thought I did. And so if I can't use it on my face and my butt, I probably wouldn't pack it out.
Yeah, I think just like going back to Lavendar's empowering answer before, I think it's just like kind of nice to just like, embrace the filth and be like, yeah, like I look and smell like shit and I'm covered in dirt because I've been, on 5 days of a how many day stretch and sleeping in the dirt, and so be it.
I'm curious, what was your hygiene routine when you, like, the first few days on trail? Like, I'm sure you went in with a perception of what it was going to be like, and then you evolved to the no fucks given standpoint. Did you start off at no fucks, or was it always...
It's like asking what my hygiene routine is in real life. I take a shower once a week.
It's true.
Like before the PCT though?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
I like if I have a bathtub, I'm a bathtub person. I like baths. But as an adult that is not yet adult enough to have my own house with my own bathtub, I'm in that middle phase where it's like showers are the only option. So it's just once a week that it's like putting a cat in. I don't want to do it.
I feel like in the very beginning, like I did like care about my skin. Not that you don't care about your skin, but I think that I carried wipes with me and I wiped my face every day. But ultimately, like packing them out becomes a nuisance in itself, like adding additional like money that being spent. So after that, and then like not really caring about it, I feel like your body naturally is like a disinfectant in itself. So like I don't know.
It's kind of the same way where like the only reason you have to shampoo your hair as much as you have to shampoo it is because the chemicals strip out all the natural oils, which
right.
are. So I think that does kind of, and this is not scientific based at all, but I think it happens with your skin.
Anyway.
Yeah, and so it depends. I think what your reasoning for wanting a skincare routine is. Well, I will say mine is sunscreen. That's it. On trail mostly, and if I feel especially gross or like there's literal dirt on my face, wipes, or just like getting water in your hand and like rubbing it off. But I think, yeah, if it's because you're worried about looking dirty or something, no one cares. And if it's because you actually need it for like maybe if you have like skin that's really prone to breakouts or something, I feel like wipes or maybe that's one of your luxury items is something that you need to like care for your face.
And for us older people, retinol.
I've thought about bringing retinol on my next hike. I'm like, do I want to carry it?
Doesn't that increase your need for sunscreen?
Retinol?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
I think it does.
I didn't use that much sunscreen, did you?
I was not as good about it on the PCT as I am now.
Oh, yeah, like the Arizona Trail, like things like that, like hiking a little bit on there. Sunscreen, obviously, all the time, especially, yeah. So I'd say sunscreen, for sure.
Have any of you used the backcountry bidet?
No.
What?
I haven't. I feel like I keep saying I'm going to try.
Have you wiped your ass with your hand in water alone? Is what he's asking.
I feel like I have.
I've used a leaf once in a pickle when I ran out of other things.
Yeah, leaves
I feel
are
like
different.
I did use my hand in some water before. Especially when you're like out like in the desert or something. And, well, you're wasting water, but I feel like I did. Like on my bike packing trip.
You just ran out of wipes or TP?
Right, I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Also, I would ask if snow counts because I've definitely done it with just snow. But you can gather enough.
No, snow is
there's
beautiful.
not
Snow
risk
is the
of
best way to
contact.
wipe.
Yeah, I've never done snow, but I keep hearing good things.
I might get like a snowmaker next to my toilet because it's so superior to anything else. But yeah. Okay.
So you just use your water bottle and just like squirt
You,
right?
like squirt your hand, I think, right?
Oh,
and
no,
then
I just squirt a little up there.
In the
Then
up
it can
there,
wash
yeah.
into your water bottle, right? That's why you just do it in your
The
hand.
angle thing.
Chaunce and I were confused by this. We had to have Andrew Skirka clarify
Oh,
his
okay, so
exact
it's been
method.
said.
But yeah, there might be different methods. This was at least the Skirka method, but he
He made this shape with his hand,
Yeah.
which
That implies to me water.
Backwards,
You can't
not
do it.
forward.
International sign language for my
I'm
hands going in my
scooping
butthole
my
now.
hand.
wiping your butt.
I feel like, yeah, just anything you got to do to clean it up. You don't want to be walking in that
Truth.
all day.
How is the cooler cloth or P-rag?
Wouldn't know. I just shake it out. Shake it
So,
out,
yeah.
baby. I sing that to myself.
Full
Shake it out.
transparency, I also shake it out. I think there's another question about like helping with coochie stank, and I will say wiping probably helps with that. You know, because I mean I drip dry, but did I really fully sit there for as long as it took to get fully dry? No, like there's probably a drop or two in my underwear, and Yeah, it starts to stink. But like, no one cares.
When I was out on the Appalachian Trail, I heard about the pea rag for the first time. So when I went into town, went to like a thrift store and like got a hiker box and got a bandana, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be my pea rag. Like I want to be one of those cool people, whatever. And I think I used it for like a week, and I thought this isn't working for me, because then it's like some people put it on their pack, like on their arm. Don't you have?
See,
you seen that?
I think they're grosser than like just not using one.
Yeah,
I think the idea of
what
having
if you
your
forget
pee
and
dangling-
you're just like, oh.
I will say
it.
I keep my bandana right here. It's not a pee bandana. The reason I keep it right here is I sweat so much that like it just drips, and I think part of the I don't like to shower thing is I don't like water going in my face. Like the Neutrogena commercials where they're splashing water on their face in the sink just makes me close up.
You are like a cat.
Yeah, so I think that's part of like all of it is I just don't like my face getting wet. So I put the bandana there because the second the sweat starts beating down to the eyebrows, I've got to wipe it.
We need someone to literally like give a positive experience on the pea rag. I have never
will
found
say-
anyone.
Can't force
Another
it.
honorable mention for wiping there is, like Chaunce said, front to back with the wipes. So then every time you poop, you still get cleaned. And then also, I will say, bandanas versus Kula cloths, there is a difference because I'm pretty sure that like there's things that are made specifically as pea rags often have like antimicrobial
Right.
properties.
So that's a brand.
There's
right?
there's Kula is a brand, and then there's like there are other ones too that are just specifically made as a pea cloth rather than just using a piece of a ripped off bandana.
I'd give that a try if it was like.
Yeah.
Is the Kula cloth considered the big dog in the pea rag space?
It's the only one I've heard of.
I feel like that's the one that people know about
Okay.
for sure.
On a side note, I learned that guys don't have to go front to back. They can go whatever direction they want. And then I
Sometimes
thought
in
about it and it
circles.
made sense.
Mm-hmm.
I was-
They don't get UTIs as easily.
Yeah.
Although I did learn recently that changes as you age. So
With
look
guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my mom's a nurse, and I don't know how this came up, but
Wait, so we'd wipe to the point that we get poo in our urethra?
I think it's just that.
So far up.
I think
Trail up my chest?
I don't know if it's necessarily the poo factor as much as it is, like as you age, I guess your prostate like pushes on your urinary tract or something, and it shortens it. And there's this somebody's gonna
excited,
email
Jack.
us and
This is your future.
fact check me, but it was something like that where it just by the time we hit a certain age, like men and women are the same amount likeliness of getting UTIs.
Uh-huh.
Neat.
Just keep clean.
Cranberry juice.
Elise foreshadowed this question, but I like the terminology. How do you deal with coochie stank?
Coochie stank.
I think. I mean, honestly, so again, the wiping thing.
Wet
You
wipes,
have
yeah.
wet wipes, like that can help. But also, I think, and also the type of underwear you wear. Wearing like something that has antimicrobial stuff is definitely going to help rather than
Is
just
there a
like.
particular brand or model or anything that you
I love the Patagonia. I think they're called Barely Theirs. They're really comfy. I know that a lot of people like ex officio, but honestly, the bands on those like are uncomfortable
Fray.
for me. They I feel like cut into my skin a little bit. But I also only tried like one cut, so maybe trying different cuts might work for other people. But
I think it depends also just like the weather. Like more humid, like on the AT, you're just like always sweating down there. Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
that reminded me, take off your underwear when you sleep.
Yes.
Air that shit out.
I was going to
Yes.
say the opposite. Sometimes I just like get to the point where I sleep in my hiking clothes and there is no second outfit. It's just, I am my outfit. It is me. And in that case, you don't ever notice anything because when you take off your outfit, you're at town and at a shower.
Do you ever get comments from other people being like, you are a little bit rank?
No, because they don't know unless you tell them.
That's not true for me.
Well, because you probably shower more frequently in your day-to-day because I only shower like once a week. My oils don't produce very frequently at all.
Uh-huh.
So it just translates really well.
I think it's worth noting too, no one's gonna know where the stank is coming from. Everybody stinks a lot. Like,
Right.
I don't know who. Like, if
They're going to be like, I know that smell.
Yeah. That's specifically coming from your vagina.
That's your vagina, isn't it?
And if someone does call you out for that, stop hiking with them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fuck that
again,
person.
the nearest tree, start climbing.
Yeah. There is an interesting thing about the olfactory sense is that it only picks up changes in smell. So like you get used to whatever smell's happening and then it disappears. It literally just becomes neutral. So like you can only smell so bad, at least yourself or your proximate group for so long.
I have hiked behind so many more, how do I say this, worse smelling guys than I've ever hiked behind.
Oh.
I've had to take a
Women,
break
that's-
one time because I couldn't stand the smell of the person in front of me.
Same.
It's also
I had to
waited
sit for
like
10
an
hours.
hour.
You could
Yeah.
just say my
Started
name.
hiking
You could just say my name.
It
It's
wasn't
fine.
you, surprisingly. But like it was terrible. But the other thing is like we're literally like going against ourselves here because the beginning of it is how do you feel safe on trail and stuff, and like, oh my god, it's so remote. Like sometimes like you get scared because like you don't see other people type stuff is like general thoughts, and then when it comes time to like, do we smell down there? It's like, oh my god, all of a sudden there's all these people that are gonna know when my last shower was on this
Right.
trail with me. You know, like it can't be both.
We're all out there. We all stink at some point. Like,
Yeah, I'm
so
sure your
it's,
balls
you know-
don't smell better than, you know.
Oh, it's the end of time, but this is not boys stuff. So
Yeah.
we can
I
talk
think
about
for
that
us
another
it's
time.
more hygienic because we have more ways to kind of like get infections and stuff, like
Yeah.
down in our vagina.
The hole into our
And,
body's a little bigger than it is on you.
So yeah, for that it's very important for us.
Yeah. And also I will say if it's something you're worried about specifically, I've never, and maybe I just had the privilege of hiking with really nice people, but even we all know who in our group smelled the worst. And sometimes we joked about it if we knew that person was okay with it. But like, it was never.
Was it a guy or a girl?
It was a guy.
Yeah.
It was never held against them though. Like no one cared. Like you might reek like the worst thing that someone has ever smelled. And when it comes to through hiking, it's very, in my experience, people aren't going to hold that against you, even if you literally smell the worst of everyone out there, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
But also the smell kind of means you're working hard. You know, it's like, oh, you smell like shit. It's like, yeah, I'm working hard. What are you doing out here?
Yeah.
It's
You
your
know?
last town.
Badge of
Probably
honor.
longer ago than mine.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm impressive. And
I don't know if there'll be much input on this question. I'll ask it. Shaving your head before a long hike?
Oh my god, I almost did.
Yeah.
Courtney got a buzz. Well, not a buzz, but she got a very short haircut before the PCT.
Yeah, I almost went full on, almost shaved my head before the AT. I don't know why. Like I was like, yeah, new beginnings, it's whatever. But
I mean, Chaunce is talking about combing her hair twice a day. That I would like to not have to deal with that headache.
yeah, what if you
The
didn't have to do
idea of cutting my hair really short it sounds cool just so I can go like that with my hand and like do that in the shower with a shampoo and then it comes out really quick and then your hair dries fast.
Yeah, I did cut maybe like 8 inches off my hair before I first started the trail. And I did meet someone on the trail, actually, a woman that shaved her head. She literally had quit her job like 5 days prior and shaved her
Good
head.
for her.
Damn.
I know, I was like, it was super empowering though, like her telling her story.
Did she have positive remarks about it?
She did, yeah. You're embarking on a lot of changes, like quitting your job, like starting a trail, shave your head. And she felt very positive things.
Were you happy with taking 8 inches off your hair?
Yeah, I was.
That wasn't
It was
very
hot out
convincing.
there. Also,
Yeah.
a trail angel in New Hampshire, I stayed with her and she gave me an undercut.
Ooh.
I was like, I'm ready for it. Undercut me.
Oh, what does that mean?
Like where you buzz like underneath your hair.
Okay.
Is that what that is?
If
Undercut,
you have
yeah.
thick hair, yeah.
It's like
it
a
can-
really, really long bowl cut.
Aha.
So yeah, I shaved half my hair.
Sweet.
A quarter of it.
That's cool.
I think if my hair grew faster, like if it didn't take so long for it to get to a length that goes past my shoulders, I would definitely get a bowl cut to start the trail just because like it would be funny. You know,
A
like
bowl cut?
A bowl cut. You know, just like where they put the bowl on your head and they cut around and then they shave below. I think that'd be hilarious, but it would take forever for my hair to grow back and like that wouldn't translate to the real world.
Are you
well.
worried you'd be losing your brand, like Viking losing his beard?
No, I'd be worried that I'd never find a husband and then I'd be like out of eggs and out of time. You know?
That should be your next book.
She's got a bowl cut and she's all dried up.
Yeah, my next book, Out of Eggs and Out of Time, dedicated to.
Not a pair.
Chaunce's bowl cut story. Oh, man.
I say do it.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're thinking about it.
That's,
Hair grows back.
Someone asked that question. It's on their mind. That's a good point. How do you pee in a bottle without a cone?
Ooh, this is perfect. I can answer this. As someone who has slept in my car a lot and not wanted to leave the car to pee in the middle of the night, you gotta...
I'm very curious.
You gotta get, like, some aim. So you gotta get, like, a finger on each side of the pointing out bit. And then when you position it over the bottle, it can't be, like, suctioned on. Because then there's no air hole for the air to get back out. And then it just, like, doesn't work and you're gonna pee on your hand. But if you, like, tilt it a little bit so that the bit with the hole is in the bottle-ish and there's a little gap for air to get in and out, it's gonna go right in.
Everyone just missed all those hand motions.
Yeah. Well,
That's why we video
that's
this.
why we video here.
Bottle preference, I feel like that would be a factor.
Wide mouth,
Gatorade,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
Gatorade.
Does it even work with
Oh, it's worked.
a smart
I've
watch?
tried once.
It's like
I'm
leveling
impressed.
up though. It's like you gotta be able to do the Gatorade to do the smart water. You know, you can't just jump in. You know.
I was at a porta potty once, our privy, and it was really nasty. And so I stood up, like on, like you stand over it, but you're facing the back of the toilet or the front of the toilet. What? You're facing the toilet.
Yeah.
And I've stood there and like over it and like aimed.
I've tried to use a
That.
urinal once.
So I feel like I could pee in a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's essentially what I did with this privy. Is like
Nice.
peed at it and like aimed it. I think
There should be different stages. So you start with the privy, and
Yeah,
then you move
for
on to the
practice.
Gatorade.
The
or
urinal
maybe like
doesn't
a-
work because you don't have the distance in your like from body to hole tip. You don't have the distance to make it aim far enough. Like
Yeah.
you can aim direction, but it's still just going to go straight down. So what happens with the urinal is you pee all over the leg that's touching the floor.
Do you think this person is asking because they want to carry a bottle with them to pee in?
I'm guessing this is a
bedtime thing?
Without knowing anything, I'm thinking a bedtime thing. That's the most convenient time.
Yeah.
Right?
I just
You
pee
just
in my
roll out your
vestibule. I don't even roll
That's
up
what I was gonna
I don't
say.
even roll up the rain fly part. I just
Yeah.
stick my butt out and just
And that works better if there's like a little bit of a downslope next to your tent. If it's a little bit uphill, choose the other side.
Well, then you also find out if it's gonna rain, like how your tent's gonna fare. You know, like you'll see, is it gonna spread and like get on my tent,
Right.
or does it stay centrally where it is, and my tent is safe from the elements?
And
Yeah.
that being said, some of my favorite pee spots, you'll eventually, depending on your experience or desire to pee without taking off your backpack
Oh, yeah.
on trail, if you can find like a section that slopes off on the side, you can literally stick your butt over like the downhill, and you don't splash on yourself. That honestly, that's a big problem when you're usually with a vagina. Like the pee will splash up on your feet unless at summer camp they taught us to like grab a tree and then like put your feet at the base of the tree and then move your hands all the way down to the base, like by your feet, so your butt sticks out really far. You can create that same effect if you stick your butt over a downhill.
Yeah.
Just make sure there's not a switchback down there.
Yeah. If you
And
get like a wide,
technically you should
a
be off
wide
the trail.
squat. I also don't take my backpack off when I pee, and I've said this on the podcast before. There's a Drake song that the lyrics say, "You don't have to take your panties off, just push them to the side." And I sing that to myself every time I pee on trail because I don't take my panties off. I just push them to the side. Like you can take your shorts
Chaunce is a
and your
level ahead.
underwear and just like pull it to the
You're
side
next
while in the
level.
squat. And then you don't even have to take your shorts off. You just push them to the
Chaunce
side.
doesn't even stop
do you wear
walking.
like Patagonia baggy shorts? What is
Okay.
that?
The baggies, yeah.
The baggies,
Hey
yeah.
girl loves those.
Oh yeah, those would
Um,
work.
Yeah, those would work.
Yeah.
I could see that. I was hiking in a skirt, and I definitely always had to pull it down. It was like a spandex underneath situation.
Can you easily control the projectile of the stream like guys can?
Distance?
Yeah.
No, that's why the urinal doesn't work.
Depends how bad you have to pee, I feel like. If you can really force it out, if you got a lot in there, you can kind of... And I've also heard people say, how do you keep it from being multiple streams? I think this depends on your specific anatomy and also how badly you have to pee.
Yeah, you just push out more.
Yeah, you got to make the stream stronger.
Also, like I like to think of it, just now I thought of this. Obviously, I don't like to think about this all the time, but like if you had a house with a garden hose on it, how you're able to aim the garden hose to spray it where you want it versus if you took the garden hose off the house and the water was just pouring out, like you're much less likely to be able to aim that, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Love the analogy.
thanks.
was gonna say you have the best analogy.
Yeah. This is a fun category. The naughty questions. Elise specifically highlighted this one before we recorded. you want me to wait?
No.
I specifically highlighted it.
Well, I mean, you mentioned it. I think it was you that mentioned it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying.
Do levels of horniness ever compare to levels
Wait, you
of...
have to stay for this, Chaunce.
Yeah, Chaunce, you can't...
My dad listens.
Oh, she was timing this intentionally.
I mean, I was just holding it until
Yeah, so do levels of horniness ever compare to levels of hunger on trail? So, preface this, obviously people have heard us talk about the hiker hunger pretty frequently on the show, where it's like, it's insatiable. You can go to an all-you-can-eat buffet and like, you eat basically until they kick you out. Do you ever get that horny?
Who wants to go first?
And we should also give the context that both you guys are in relationships, so this might be...
Oh, I mean, yeah, but we each have passed.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think also it doesn't matter, I don't think, for this question.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, just human urges.
Okay, I'll just say it. I think obviously it depends on the person, but I would say, yeah, it compares. It gets up there. You're in the woods alone. You're in the best shape of your life. You have all these endorphins. I think you kind of return to some primal urges in a way.
Well, we're also human with
and you don't get as much physical touch as you might get typically in your normal life. So I would say, yeah, it can compare for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why you hear so many stories of like people getting it on trail hookups. Yeah, I would say, I mean, it isn't as like instant as like being hangry and like that intense emotion that comes sometimes when you see somebody like snapping at them. Like you don't snap at someone like I'm going to jump your bones because I'm horny.
I like the suspense there.
But, you know, if someone comes up to you and you're hangry, you might say something like bitchy to them. So I can't compare the both of them because they're so different. But horniness does happen on the trail, absolutely.
Yeah.
As a, you know.
And I would say, yeah, I would agree that, like, it's not necessarily like you're going to have the same types of reactions, but I think the levels might be what we're getting at. And I would say you could get just as horny as you get hiker hunger.
Right. Sure. And on the AT going Sobo, I was very alone a lot of times. I mean, you know, so you think, you know.
We have a question for that in a second. But I'm curious. Chaunce, you want to answer the question now that you're back?
What I was just thinking about was our gross or not gross with the peeing barefoot thing in the bathroom. And then I was thinking about that as I was peeing.
Barefoot in there?
Yeah. I was like thinking about it while I was sitting. I was like,
yeah. I think you peed like shortly after the cleaning people came, so it's not that
That's
bad.
why I never really mind. It's always clean in there.
Do levels of horniness ever compare to levels of hunger on trail?
Yes. Next question.
So I don't even know.
She's like, I'm hungry for horniness.
Yeah. I'm horngry. So obviously there are more guys than girls on trail, and we already gave the caveat of all the different shades. Does somebody who's especially horny, would you advocate the trail is a good culture for them? Like they have their pick of the litter, whereas in most contexts it's pretty 50-50. Going on the AT more 60-40, 70-30. Like I feel like there's more vying for your attention in that context.
I think if you're looking for like a one night stand, probably not going to be your best scenario.
Yeah.
But if you're like wanting to like chat someone up for like a couple weeks and then like ease into that finally happening, like and like actually get to know them, like that's a good setting to do that in. Yeah.
Let me phrase the question differently. Do you find that you get more attention on trail than your normal day-to-day? And I know that guys are generally just horny no matter what, but again, the ratio I think obviously makes a difference here.
No.
In my experience, I was hiking with a lot of girls on the PCT. Like my trail family I met 2 girls on the first day we hiked together for the almost like 1,600 miles. I finished with one of them. I know that's not necessarily a super common experience, but I think it depends who you're around, and I think it is evening out a lot more. I mean, obviously, like I don't have, Zach, you probably have more like of the actual statistics, but in my experience, I feel like it's pretty even as far as like if you should go on trail to like try and find someone.
I think if you're going on trail to find someone to be horny with, then you're probably going to find out that you have other things to work through.
Yes.
because then you're going to just seem like a creep, and Chauncey's going to run out in the woods and have to poop because you're following her.
Yep.
And she will.
And I will.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, like, there are moments that, you know, people hook up and things like that, but I would say, you know, you got something else to figure out if you're going out there to hook up with somebody.
Probably also worth noting in your specific circumstance that you hike southbound, which is a different experience than the northbound bubble.
Yeah, we're just so lonely.
Yeah. How many people within a day in either direction started, like, let me use English there. How many people started within a day in either direction of when you started? So, like, a day before or a day after, or your day?
Well, so, I mean, on the Appalachian Trail, well, I've only hiked like 2 trails essentially, well 3, but on the AT, you know, you're going into the 100-mile wilderness. So I'd say there was like 15 to 20 people that I started that morning to do Katahdin to head southbound. And then when you were out there, you would see a couple new people a day, but if you started hiking fast, you would really not see anyone until you saw the northbound bubble. And then you would just be alone for a while with the people you were hiking with.
Yeah.
You know.
And what year was this?
2016.
16.
I think more people were hiking southbound though.
Yeah, for sure.
And on the CDT, it was like 5 people. But
I do think there's like a lot more male friends that I have from the trail that I think of me in like a sister way rather than in like a romantic, like fuckable way. You know, like I think like we were talking about ball flat beforehand, and it's just like it is literally like living with a sibling. Like, I think with a lot of the friends I've had on trail, it's like I forget that they're even a guy. You know, like I just don't look at them in that way.
In the beginning, you're not really thinking about that. You're just thinking about, you know, how to lose more weight in your pack and like food and like how to survive yourself. And then like a month on, like, is when you start to feel those feelings, like, because you're comfortable with yourself. But ultimately in the beginning, I don't know if anyone is set out. I mean, I'm sure there are people that think about it, but
yeah,
I don't know. It just goes back to the creepy factor, like that first question, like, how comfortable do you feel?
I just think like you get to the point where you're so comfortable with the people you're hiking with that you're almost too comfortable to see them in a different way.
Yeah.
Like we camped at this one spot that was like a super hard spot to camp at because there was a river on one side, steep cliff on the other, and we had found just the right flat spot away from everything. At the same time, when I woke up in the morning and had to poop, there was nowhere else to go. Otherwise, it was too close to the water or I was pooping on a cliff. And like you can't see someone in a romantic way after you are quietly digging a hole and taking a shit while looking at them while they sleep. You know, like you can't look at them in a romantic way after that. And I think there are a lot of scenarios on trail where people get too close for comfort, where it's just like,
it's called a trail family.
Yeah, like it's you can't see them as a person
time.
Anymore that's in that way.
Okay.
Did you have something to say?
Yeah, Elise, you want to contribute?
I had thoughts pop up, but
Go on, share.
Well, one thing I was going to say is I think it's similar to your comparison about how, like, trail horniness and trail hungriness have different factors, right? Like, when you're trail have hiker hunger, you look at a plate of food and you're like, I'd eat anything. But, like, hiker horniness is not necessarily the same. Like, to Chaunce's point, like, there's so many people that you just, like, I think the general consensus, obviously we can't speak for everyone, but, like, is that you see those people as family. Like, you don't necessarily... depending on what you're looking for when you go out there, you're not seeing them right away as like a romantic partner. And speaking as someone who met their romantic partner on a long distance trail, I think that's why it took us so long to start dating, and it was specifically me, because I just did not see them in that way at all. Yeah. And it took forever for that to happen. And
yeah, it's a long
he may
game.
or may not have seen me pooping. Maybe I couldn't get over that. I don't know.
Okay, so I think this is the perfect gray area filler, because we're talking about how horny you are, but not necessarily the context might not allow for the situation for you to execute on that. Someone wants to know about toys.
Like someone packed out, like someone's asking if they should pack out something,
or if you have experience with it. That's literally the only. It's one word question.
It's so quiet on trail at night that I feel like if you were camped near anyone else, Like, that would be really embarrassing.
It's my electric toothbrush.
Yeah, I'm just brushing my teeth, guys.
Would that be a good
Jeez.
reason to use whatever the electric toothbrush is, the Sonicare?
My dental approves this. My dentist
A dentist requires me to use this
Double use
at 11
items.
p.m.
Yeah.
I think hygienically it wouldn't, unless you brought baby wipes, I guess, to wipe it off.
And I also feel like I can't think of, like, weight is also
Yeah.
a factor with that. It's a luxury item for sure.
I'm sure one of those things weighs pretty. I mean, I don't know from
I
experience.
mean, it depends. You can definitely find really small ones, but then also you got to think about the charging factors. Like,
Is
How
your
often
battery
are you
bank?
are you
using-
bringing more
Is your battery
batteries?
bank big enough?
You're carrying
to
the Anchor
charge your phone in?
27500.
Okay, so I'm noticing a gap here between like the level of horniness. You're not bringing toys, and you're not necessarily just going to hook up with anyone in any context. What do you do to fill that gap, or do you
Good
just suffer
old Jill.
I was going to say, Zach, what do you do?
This is not the Zach show. This is the girls' stuff episode.
Yeah, there's not as big of a gap there. It's just, we're implying.
I gave my answer.
Yeah, Chaunce flashed her hand and called her Jill. Is that her name?
Yeah, because you don't know this. Hold this. Jill.
Ah,
I thought it
see.
was Jill and her 5 sisters.
Oh, really? I've always heard the.
This is Jill and her 5 sisters.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Is that it?
That's
Yeah,
it.
I'd say hands. Yeah, if you have fingers, if that
If you have
is your thing.
Very ultralight.
I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. If you I'd say if you feel like you need to use one, then pack it out. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's your electric toothbrush. Who cares?
Do
It's
you
your
guys know-
luxury
Your
item.
tent,
Yeah.
it's
Do
your
you guys
tent.
know anyone that uses toys on trail?
Not on trail.
I feel like I had trail family that brought up the idea. I don't know that anyone actually did, and they like joked about I've like seen ones that are necklaces. And they're like tiny, yeah.
Okay, that's pretty good.
That's
though.
funny.
It's pretty good. This is a whole new like investment.
It's a whole new pack strategy.
Yes. Wow. Or like a company
There you go.
invent an
UL
ultralight
vibrators.
Yeah.
Patent pending.
You left your boyfriend to go to this trail to find yourself. Well, honey, you can find yourself.
We can help you get
Featuring.
there.
Did you guys have anything
Can
else you
help
want to
you get
add to the naughty category before we move on?
Nah.
Okay.
I will say, like, I feel like people are always curious about like hookups and stuff. Not to like offer that information up, but like towns are always, I feel like, more common. Would you guys say?
To hook up in
I
town
feel
as
like
opposed
people
to
always
like on
want to
trail.
know that. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you are trying to like make something happen with someone, the nice thing is in town, a lot of the times you're sharing rooms, so you're already like primed for the setting. And then you shower and then you're clean. And then it's like you can make the scenario work if you want to in a very clean way.
Also depends how many people you're sharing the room with,
People go out to eat.
but.
People take showers.
People sleep.
I gotta resupply at some point.
Okay. General questions. What are things guy backpackers don't know about? Should we say this because we're going to go to, is that
Yeah.
too overlapping with the
Too
other?
overlapping.
Okay. Foreshadowing, I guess. Favorite girly item you can't go without?
On trail or in life?
I'm going to guess this is a trail context question.
That's really difficult.
My pepper spray's pink.
I feel like I don't have many items that pertain specifically to that, other than I guess like we've talked a lot about baby wipes. That's a big thing, and then I do like my brush that I carry on
your
trail,
brush I
which
do like.
is just for anyone with long hair. But
Let's broaden the question. Just luxury items. Doesn't have to be girly per se.
Luxury items.
I bring very little stuff so I can pack whatever food I want. So maybe food.
And a frisbee. Or the guys carry the frisbee.
Pufflop carried the frisbee.
Okay.
I think baby wipes are like the bougiest thing that I carry consistently.
Sometimes like tweezers.
Oh yeah.
Because like not even to tweeze my eyebrows, but like if you need to do anything, like pull out something or like
chin hairs.
pick at like little like side things on your fingers. What are those called? Cuticles.
Cuticles. I have one right now.
I love picking at them.
I carried tweezers. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was I forgot about that. Tweezers.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, anybody can carry that though.
Yeah.
My camera stuff, if we're just talking strictly like luxury items. That's the heaviest thing I think I carry these days.
So girly of you.
Yeah.
Earrings? Did anyone wear earrings?
Good question.
No.
I wear just the ones that I always wear, like, every day. You can't see them, but
Oh, I
they're
keep
just, like,
these
hoops.
bracelets on.
Yeah, I keep all the jewelry on that I wear every day.
I wear all my jewelry.
I had a
At
really
once.
amazing stone that a friend gave me, and I started the CDT with it and lost it in Glacier National Park. I should have did a treasure hunt for that.
Oh, if you find a stone in Glacier National Park.
It's an amethyst. That was pretty sad. So I've never worn anything outside of that. I think jewelry might be the one. Yeah.
What can guys do to normalize girl stuff on and off trail?
Don't be weird.
Yeah, I feel like depending on people's comfort levels, just do whatever you would do around anyone.
Yeah.
We had one guy hiking with us, that group of 3 girls that I mentioned earlier, for a good like 400 or 500 miles in one time. And we used to just pee, near camp frequently, and we would all pee like, I don't know. One time, basically, he turned around and he just goes, "Oh, there's a butt." He like accidentally saw my butt, but it was funny. Like, you don't need to be weird about it, and also don't be creepy about it, obviously. And he was neither of those things. So
Yeah, the guys on the PCT would actually get like upset with me because they would just like pull it out and pee when they wanted to at camp. And it was like, okay, cool that you don't have to pull down your zipper to do that, and you could just do that because you're a guy. So I would just do it if I had to pee. I would just like, because they'd be talking and then they'd turn around and they'd start peeing. So then I'd start talking and then I would just go over and squat while I was talking and they'd be like, "Oh, why are you doing that? This and that." And I'd be like, "If you can, I can."
Touche.
So I like to, just mimic whatever they do. They were growing beards. I grew out my leg hair. Like, they were comparing beard sizes. I'd pull out my leg and be like, "Look how long this baby's gotten." So just, do what you can when you can.
yeah,
Is that an issue that you guys, and we'll keep it to trails specifically, encounter a lot in your backpacking world? Like, feeling like you have to hide hygienic stuff or...
No.
I feel
like tampons and stuff.
Yeah.
No.
I feel like backpacking honestly helped a ton with that, not feeling like I had to hide any of that, specifically in backpacking and also in real life. Like, I know some people are concerned about when you pack out tampons, do you keep it in your trash bag, like, because it's often clear and you can see it. Personally, like, I don't care. If you're looking at my trash bag that hard,
Yeah.
I mean, that's on you.
Right.
Yeah, I think you leave a trail with a lot less fucks to give than you started a trail with. And I think, like, when you meet people on trail, like, you're not meeting them like you're meeting a guy at a bar. It's just, like, another person that's just, like, a hiker. Like, it's like there's another category that's just hiker. And there's, like, nothing there.
And you already both smell really bad. So
Yeah.
there's just... that lowers, I feel like, a certain barrier
Yeah.
that might exist in normal life. Like the rawness, not just the smell.
Rawness. Cool word.
Yeah. It extracts out some of the fake elements of society and you're more primal.
Yeah, and also, like, good God, like, we should be progressive enough, like, not to, like, make fun of people and, like,
Yeah.
in general.
Maybe if you're hiking with like a
Don't be a
13-year-old.
dick.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Don't
Well
be
said.
an asshole.
How did you handle PMS on the trail? Did it make you want to quit?
Gosh, I feel like it was just hangry instead of PMS. I don't know. It's just like, I don't know if PMS was what was really happening. I feel like you're with your natural flow. You feel really good. So more than anything,
Can I
I don't
interrupt
know.
and ask, do you experience different levels of PMS symptoms on the trail versus off trail?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you can even, like, get different periods. Like, if you change your fitness level drastically, like, you could just completely stop getting them.
I only had, I think, one, and then on the AT out there for 4.5 months, one period. Whereas before and after it was pretty regular.
I definitely do notice it. I'll have more midday meltdowns. I'll just start crying and I'll sit behind a tree. Definitely more midday meltdowns during that time.
Personally, for me, yeah, my periods get a lot lighter, and so do the symptoms that typically come with them. So I feel like I might not be the best person to ask about that.
I know that people take like birth control to control that sometimes. I mean, it's just hormonal, so
Yeah, and also I think in a way it depends how your PMS manifests. Like if you're someone who gets really bad, awful cramps, yeah, like a birth control, like trying different kinds that might be able to mitigate that, or packing out extra ibuprofen for that stretch, or, you know, purposefully like planning your town days if you can give yourself an off day. But if it's like a mental mood thing, I definitely worried, not so much from a PMS perspective, but like I was pretty depressed before I started the PCT, and I was like, what if I don't want to get up one day? Like, what am I going to do if I'm out in the middle of the woods? And I would say, like, obviously it varies per person, but hiking can help a lot with it, like more than you would think, and it becomes less of an issue than you might be worried about.
Interesting.
I'd agree.
So we had a lot of birth control questions in the first edition of this. So if you're curious about that, I encourage you to listen to the first Girl Stuff episode. We won't go into that here. Or is it worth getting the new perspectives?
I've still got the same noodle in my arm.
Personally, I use NuvaRing, which isn't a good option for trail. If you're familiar, you have to it's like a monthly thing that you insert, and you have to keep it at room temperature in the fridge. So like I couldn't pick it up in a town and wait until I needed it. So on the PCT, I just didn't use anything. And luckily my periods just were fine. So it was fine.
Yeah, I wasn't on birth control.
I've got Nexplanon in my arm. It's like a 1-inch noodle that goes in your arm, and it stays in there for 3 years, and you don't have to worry about taking it at the same time of the day or doing anything. You just mark your calendar 3 years from the day you get it in and deal with it then. So that's been going great.
Perfect. How to encourage other girls to backpack? Is that something?
I feel like if we want to talk about this, one thing is like just being very open and understanding that, like, remembering where you started, and if you're someone who's like grew up backpacking, just maybe having a little grace with people and knowing, like, I know I started from ground zero. So when I talk to people, I try and remember that and not be like, assume that they already know something, and basically ask them how I can help. Like, instead of, you know, potentially, I can't think of a better word for this, but it's not the right word, but potentially like mansplaining something to someone, ask them if they want your help or what they want your help with, and then go from there. And then also, if you have extra gear, just like being generous with your extra gear. I've accumulated a few extra things, and that's helped me be able to get people to go out with me, because, you know, they might have like a sleeping bag, but they don't have like a great tent for backpacking. So I lend them my backpacking tent, and like that's way better than them carrying like their 5-pound tent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Making them feel comfortable, going back to, you know, helping them sleep in the woods and stuff. Making them feel comfortable, helping them, because I mean, we didn't know what we were freaking doing when we started. So we've been through that.
And maybe doing like an approachable trail. I mean, God bless my friends that I took on 4 Pass Loop recently. But that's a hell of a first one to do. So maybe just start with something that's like 5 miles.
Yeah.
Not too much elevation gain.
Oh, yeah.
I think also, like, keep in mind that it might not be something that everyone likes, you know? Like, they just might not like it. And that's cool, too. Like, you don't have to do everything. Like, assuming this person's your significant other, you don't have to do everything with them. You know, they can do something while you do your hike, and you guys can, like, meet back up later. Or if it's, like, one of your friends, like, you can find other mutual interests if the person just, it's not for them. So, like, don't force it on them and assume it's just, like, oh, if they, like, understood this more, were more comfortable with this, like, then it would be fine. It's, like, some people just don't like it.
I actually have a question that's not on here, and I think probably pertains to all three of you. But the interaction between being fairly public personalities on Instagram and how that interfaces with being, like, do you have people trying to meet up with you on the trail because you're too public with your location? Like, does that play a role into your hike whatsoever?
No, I think, like, when I post videos and stuff, just because I have to edit them and am generally not, like, the most motivated in the moment, I'd prefer to nap. There's, like, a stagger between when I post them and when I am places. And I also think, like, my personality on trail is tired, so I look down and, like, try to avoid eye contact with people because I just don't want to talk because I'm tired, and, like, walking and talking is exhausting. So the odds of someone getting, like, a conversation out of me, slim.
Chaunce, I'm curious if you've ever run into someone that recognized you or whatever.
I can answer this question. I was with her at Trail Days, and there wasn't anyone there that didn't recognize her. Like
Yeah.
every person that we walked past, like, oh, Chauncey.
I feel like trail days, I would definitely assume that.
Yeah.
But like, have you ever been out in the woods and someone was like, oh,
Yeah.
because I know Zach, you've told me about encounters you've had in Golden.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I personally have a big enough following for that to be like a consideration, but so
Yeah. I mean, at the start of the AT especially, and then later on in the AT, like every so often. But it's just like, oh my God, are you Chaunce? Yeah. Whoa, I listen to Backpacker Radio, or I follow you on Instagram. It's like, cool. What's your name? So and so. Cool. Like,
sounds fairly pleasant.
it's like they're like, are you waiting for me to
Sounds
do
bad.
something? I'm not gonna do anything. This is all you're gonna get.
We actually, well, it isn't on Instagram, but Sonic, who I hiked like 1,100 miles with on the Appalachian Trail and the CDT. Well, on the Appalachian Trail, we used Tinder to get hitches into town.
Go on.
It worked so well. Okay, so yeah, I created a profile. Well, I already had a profile. Who were kidding? On Tinder, and I was like, oh man, like I think I was in like New York whenever I realized that like this could potentially benefit us. So I would post on there, change my little bio, and say, hey, I'm hiking the Appalachian Trail. We are coming up to me and it was always with someone else. I never did it alone. I'm gonna come up to this trailhead, so and so and so and so. I didn't exactly say the trailhead, but I would say like what area we were in. And then if I had service, I would just quickly like every man or every person, because I think I had it on male and female, that didn't look like a creep. I mean, you can tell. And so I'd just be like, right. And then I give it to Sonic, and she like, right, all these people. And then, you know, we had so many messages all the time. Where are you going to be? What do you need? Can I bring you anything? Blah, 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 blah. And I would say, oh yeah, like, what do you want to bring us? And we got trail, because Sobos don't get trail magic. So we had Tinder magic.
But so was on Tinder, dude.
Okay, so there was a, right before we did the 4-mile or 4-state challenge, met this guy on Tinder, and we were at the Penmar, like Mason-Dixon line. And we were about to do this challenge because we had to go back to the thing and then start. He brought us pot roast. He was in the middle of making pot roast. And we connected on Tinder.
Wait, you messaged this guy on Tinder. He's like, oh, I was just in the middle of a pot roast.
Yeah, he's casual pot roast.
Sounds like a keeper to me.
Yeah.
I think last time I messaged him was like 6 months ago. It's been like 4 or 5 years, and we still stay in contact. He brought us a pot roast. He's like, is it okay? I'm like, I'm cooking this. Like, I'm bringing you guys.
Is
a
it
pot
okay if I bring you this pot roast?
Pot roast, chips, pot, beer,
pot roast, pot
whatever.
roast.
all the things. And yeah, he just like kind of dropped it off. He hung with us for like 15, 20 minutes because he was like, I don't want to be a creep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was a guy in right before, or was it right after we finished this Shenandoahs? It was pouring down raining, and I was like, all right. And we were with guys at that time, and they were like, Heather, you gotta do Lavendar, do your trail magic, your Tinder magic. So I swiped right, and my phone actually died in the freaking rain because I went through like 3 phones on the Appalachian Trail. And we connected, and we communicated for a little bit. And I was like, okay, well, you can pick us up here to go into town, and just mindful, like, we are soaking wet and we're muddy. We just went through all this rain. He's
I'm
like,
a
it's
dirty
fine.
girl.
That's why he swiped right. And so it was 2 guys at that time, 2 girls, and I'm like, hey, we're gonna be muddy. He pulls up in a really expensive car. I want to say like a BMW or something. It wasn't that, but of its caliber. And he pulls up, and I'm like, we're really muddy. Are you sure? He's like, yeah, get in. This is my friend's car. I'm like, all right. So we get in, and he like takes us to Walmart. He takes us, I think, to Little Caesars, and we each get like a large Little Caesars pizza. We spent like $30 there, and he takes us back. He's like, you guys can stay with me tonight. So we go back to his house, and he proceeds to make us all gin and tonics all night long. He has a hot tub, actually. And then he had just went through a divorce, so we heard all of those stories. And yeah, we just like hung out. And I'm telling you, like we had like maybe like 6-7 Tinder hitches.
Well, there
Was
you
it
go.
ever fruitful from a romantic standpoint?
No, none.
That's amazing. And also,
I mean, unless you call McDonald's.
Oh, I do.
McDonald's dates.
Yeah.
If there are any men listening to this, like, oh, well, that couldn't work for me. Actually, my boyfriend did this on the Appalachian Trail as well.
Yeah,
He
ball
has some-
flap. I
yeah.
curated ball flap's photos on the PCT.
I love it.
Yeah, and it's like, depending on how you construct your bio and stuff, like, a lot of the times people aren't even necessarily expecting any sort of, like, romantic encounter.
On Tinder? Really?
Yeah,
I
I mean,
I
that's
think
what
it
I put
depends.
on that bio. It was just
Yeah.
like, hey, like I'm looking for people to help my journey on the Appalachian Trail.
Mhm.
You know, and I never did it alone, essentially. So I always had someone with me.
Yeah.
It's genius.
It is.
I know there's been like a lot of, this is back when California wasn't legal, but there was a lot of positive experiences on dating apps when the bio was something along the lines of the hiker being like, I am looking for marijuana. That was always like a fail, like a fail-proof, what's the word? Foolproof way of, you know, people getting things on trail in certain towns. I know quite a few guys that did that.
Oh.
Because the South
Yeah.
might be a little
And
difficult.
FYI, Montana has a lot of firefighters, and they are very nice to swipe right on.
If you're wondering what the Tinder demographic is like in Montana.
Yeah. You just tripled the population
Next
on the
year.
CDT next year. Yeah. Okay, so we're running long, and I definitely want to make sure we've got time for Chaunce's segment here. 'Cause I think that's gonna be
Segments.
segments. So I'm going to pick and choose some of these questions. How to deal if you're always cold?
Okay, I'll take this
Cry.
because I'm freaking cold, and I had a few friends that were even colder than me. One, don't be afraid to carry a little extra weight to keep yourself warm. I had a friend who carried a foam sleeping pad as well as a blow-up sleeping pad for that extra like insulation against the ground. If your sleeping bag isn't, you're finding out that's not warm enough, a sleeping bag liner. If you find you're not warm enough in your down bag, evaluate whether you're sleeping in a bunch of clothes, because that's a mistake I made, and like it's something with your body heat. Doesn't like your body heat is what warms up the bag, right? Like, so that's how you get the warmth. So it's counterintuitive, but you might need to be wearing less clothes when you're sleeping. And also just, don't be afraid to pack layers for warmth, or like rain gear is a really good extra layer for warmth in the morning, especially.
I am also very cold, as anyone who's listened to more than one episode can probably know. I know the solution. I found it. Montbell makes a very lightweight pair of puffy pants. It's like a puffy jacket, but they're pants. And when you put on puffy pants, you're puffy, and those puffy booties that they also make that are very light, you're basically like a walking marshmallow. You are the guy, like the Michelin marshmallow, and then you go into your sleeping bag, and it's like impossible to not be a furnace when that is your setup.
Sounds very warm. Are you a cold sleeper?
Yes. Actually, last weekend went up to do a hike and was going to stay 2 nights. And the first night was way too cold, so I backed out. I'm cold all the time. I haven't found an answer. You just...
Puffy pants.
Puffy pants.
They have a Montbell in
obviously. I
downtown
gotta get
Denver. You
those.
can try them on.
Yeah.
Also, going back to Scott Carney's episode,
I was just gonna bring
learn
that
the
up.
cold, and then also the thing he
gotta
said
listen to
about
this.
keeping your hands warm.
Mm-hmm.
I'd only done that in the sense like in Europe, the clubs were. I went to a club in Europe one time, and my friend was like, "Hold your ice water or your ice like drink on your wrist because the wrist it circulates the rest of your body. So if you cool that off, it like cools off your whole body a lot more easily. Like people always go to their neck, but it's really actually better if you hold it on your wrist. Try and keep your hands warm. Like maybe bring gloves.
Yeah.
And this is not so ultralight, but honestly, a Nalgene with hot water in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That put it between the femoral
Yes.
arteries, and like that's the fastest vein to.
Yes, I did this last weekend, and I was like, wow, I might carry a Nalgene with me.
Yeah. It works almost too well. Like I did that one time when I was freezing cold at night, and like within seconds, I'm just like I was shedding clothes. Yeah, it's very
It's warm.
effective.
If I go on a trail where I know I might have cold nights and it's going to be like a longer trail, I'll also toss like those like orange packets of hand warmers. I'll just toss 2 of them in my bag at the very bottom. And it's like I'll probably never touch them, But if I get one of those really cold nights, like I'm just gonna crack those things out.
Know the people around you.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to get cozy.
Yeah, hello. Tent knock.
Yeah, just to reemphasize Elisa's point, Scott Carney, listen to that episode. I think that was the feedback that I got was very positive on that one. But practice with cold exposure before you go on the trail, cold showers. Like you can measure your tolerance increasing with that, being able to do like 15 seconds to 30 seconds. Before you know it, maybe you can do a couple minutes of a cold shower. Like that should translate to a broken laptop. That's why you always finish your beer. And the other thing, like Elise was saying, I talked about this on a previous podcast, but from Andrew Huberman's podcast, the Huberman Lab, the fastest way to either warm or cool your body is through your hands, the bottoms of your feet, or your face. That's the fastest way to get temperature changes to the core of your body. So I guess gloves would be a good thing, very warm socks, or like a balaclava. Like those are effective ways to warm up your system without having to add a ton of clothes. Not proven in a backpacking context, but apparently there's some science to support it. Best underwear and bra brands to avoid chafing and wedgies. This will be
sponsor.
Yeah, this will be an overlap of today's sponsor.
I can't wait for this question. I think it's pronounced Brandwin. I'm just gonna say Brandwin. Brandwin. They're sponsoring this episode. They sent me, so they reached out on Instagram, and I'm so glad I have more than like 30 seconds to tell this story. They reached out to me on Instagram, and they were like, hey, can we send you a pair of underwear and a bra? It's merino wool, and we'd love for you to test it out, and this and that. And they like Backpacker Radio. The girl that's been messaging me is actually like a listener. Hi, Ashley. And so she sent me them, and usually I say no to that stuff, but I was like, whatever, I'll try it out. And so I tested it out for her. I wore this bra for a month straight without taking it off for anything but my weekly showers. And I mean, I wore it to sleep. I wore it waking up. I wore it to CrossFit. I wore it back home. I wore it to sleep. I wore it waking up, like for an entire month. And the only times I took it off were during my weekly showers. I haven't done laundry in about 3 months. So there was no laundry in that phase, and it did not smell. And like I was intentionally like smelling it. And at first they like weren't sure if they were going to advertise on this episode. And like, I have never done this to a sponsor before, but I was messaging her and I was like, you need to advertise on our episode. I was like, it is 1 month in and it still doesn't smell. Like I'm sending emails to a girl I've never met before. Like I have been wearing it for X amount of days and it still doesn't smell and this and that. And she's like, thanks for the update. Like definitely regretting asking for my feedback, but holy shit.
Yeah. She's got a restraining order against you.
Yeah. Like I know like a lot of people are like, it's merino wool and it doesn't itch. It like you don't even know it's merino wool. It's insane. I'm in love with it.
Not to bring advertising into the podcast, but yeah, you've never chased down an advertiser like this in
Never.
your entire life. If you want to try this out yourself, the code is backpacker15. I obviously can't vouch for it, but Chaunce seems to like it.
They're all like nude skin tone colors, and they've got like the full range of skin tones. So it was cool, like picking the one that I thought it was like picking like color matching, you know. I was like holding my arm up to the computer like, which one am I? But yeah, it was amazing how like I don't know, it didn't hurt, it didn't get uncomfortable, it didn't smell, it didn't itch. I didn't notice that I wore it for an entire month. So yeah, I couldn't say better things about it.
I know, Lavendar, you mentioned the Patagonia underwear.
I think I had that. I didn't have the underwear.
No.
Yeah.
That might have been me.
Yeah.
Oh,
which one?
sorry.
The back.
I just recently got the Patagonia Barely Theirs,
Yeah.
I think is what they're called. I'd have to double check, but I like those a lot. And also, like those Target underwear that don't have seams, basically. I feel like people who shop at Target will know what I'm talking about. But to that point, if there's something that's really comfortable for you in your everyday life and doesn't cause you like chafing and stuff when you go on like runs and things, it's probably fine for through hiking. It might wear out a little faster, but that Target underwear, my friend gave me one of her pairs, which might be gross to some people, but whatever. I don't think she wore it very much. And I wear that in the Patagonias because my ex officios were like rubbing into, like those were causing
Like
chafing for
panties.
me.
I wore the ex officio bra, and it was like really lightweight, and it didn't have any padding on it or anything. I wore it the whole AT trail, and this is pretty disgusting, but I actually wore it on the Continental Divide
This
trail
is
too.
the bra I wore on the PCT.
Like
Yeah,
that's
I've
like,
worn the same bra on the PCT, AT, CT. Same bra.
Yeah,
You find
same
the one that works, don't mess with it.
Yeah.
Didn't buy another one, just let it hang, and it really never smelled.
Have any of you tried Sax? Because I've converted to that. Not a guys episode. I'm just curious if they make good girls underwear.
I didn't know they made women's
I don't know.
stuff.
Okay, they
I
might
just don't
not.
solicit it. It's like I have the one bra, which I didn't even pick for the trail. It was just like, I've got this Lululemon bra, I'll wear it.
Yeah, I think the
and
ex
it just, like,
officio was on sale.
It hasn't burst on fire yet or like gotten a bunch of holes. And so it's like, well, I look for something else.
Sure.
At the same time, also, like if you have shorts that have built-in underwear, there's your underwear. You know, like it's almost more uncomfortable to wear underwear under shorts with underwear, because then there's a lot of like pressure squeezing up against like the sides of like where your thigh touches your cooch. So just like sometimes it's better to, you know, less is more type thing.
One quick question: have either of you done thanks?
No,
Never
I
heard
thought
of it.
about it. It's
I think
You
if
thought
I do
about
another
things?
trail, it'll be thanks.
it's
I saw that.
I've thought about things.
it's a period product
Yeah.
basically.
Oh.
So it absorbs basically instead of needing like a tampon or a
Tampon or-
pad. It's like
yeah,
a
a deeper
built-in.
That kind of freaks me out.
I want to try it because I freaking hate tampons, and
you a
I
pad
don't
person?
like a diva cup.
I was gonna say,
And I'm
do
not
you
a pad
think
person.
that you would use it just for your period, or would you use it also just as like all around underwear?
I think I would use it just as my period.
Okay.
But I only wore underwear at night. I didn't wear underwear when I was, I didn't have panties when I
Yeah.
was hiking.
To Chaunce's point about the built-in underwear, I can't do that
I had
double, like the
built-in.
double,
Yeah.
like, so I have to wear shorts that either have like the spandex shorts underneath, or, I mean, that's pretty much what I do.
I mean, you
Because
can always cut
yeah.
out the built-ins too.
Yeah.
Like that's something that I've done at like one point in life when they weren't comfortable. So you can always cut them out.
Yeah, we need like Spanx, or not Spanx. Thanks. Anyone that's worth thanks.
Yeah, right in.
Yeah,
Let
give
us
it
know
an
your
im- 'cause I don't know.
experience.
When
Because how would you clean it on
Yeah.
trail? That would be my.
I mean, ultimately, you're only wearing it for like 3 to 5 days.
But are
and
you
then
like
you're going to
wringing it
town,
out?
right?
Like
I think it's like a good. I don't know how many.
They
wears.
absorb. I think it probably depends how
24
heavy
hours.
your like flow is.
Yeah, mine's
What
pretty
it-
light, so I think I could probably push it for 3 days.
Saks does not make women's products. So we're right there. So no one has probably tried that. Okay. I think we're going to move on to Chaunce's first new segment.
woo.
You're going to start it off because I threw it in the
Okay.
bathroom.
Well, you're.
Am I supposed to be asking the questions?
No, you don't have to be here for this one actually. Okay, so this is going to be a relatively short one. I've only got a couple of questions. But this is going to be Elise and Lavendar, Sauce and Lavendar, answering them since I've already know the questions. But it's simple questions about girls that guys wonder that they don't want to ask. I asked a couple of guys and I got a couple of questions. First one is just in general, how do you deal with genital hygiene, which we kind of covered, but is there anything just like in general in life that differs from what we've said? Like in general, how do you do your...
It probably varies per person, but I know that like as I've learned more, the vagina is a self-cleaning organ. You really shouldn't do a lot because it'll mess with the pH, and that's when shit starts to get funky. So really like keep it clean like you would any other part of your body.
Perfect.
Yep, that's it. Yeah.
How do tampons work?
Well, a little stork shows up and they put it in there.
serious question.
They just magically appear.
I think there's a YouTube video. Actually, okay, this is a TikTok video. There is a Coke bottle, fill it with water, put the tampon in the top, and watch it expand and see what it absorbs, and then pull it out, and that's how it works.
It also depends on the
Go to
type.
TikTok.
If you have one with an applicator, you put the you pull out the part that pushes it in, you put the applicator in, you push the applicating part, and then you pull out the plastic. if you're like me and you use the organic ones
That don't have
that
the
don't have
applicators.
plastic. Yeah, I recently found out, I might be an idiot, but in case this helps anyone else, you like are supposed to expand the bottom of it. Like there's a fluid locking basically thing. So like okay, so if you're not familiar how these things come, they're tiny and they're like in little tiny like really thin plastic.
I hate them.
So you don't
They're super
use
tight wrap.
Yeah.
yeah, so that you don't use a bunch of plastic the way like an applicator would. And so I recently found out you're supposed to take the string and like circle it around the bottom so that the bottom gets wider before you ever put it in.
What?
Because that's how you like it's better, it keeps from leaking that way more.
I actually did pack those on the Appalachian Trail because I wanted to have less waste. That's not how I use them.
I never knew, and I probably used them for like over a year now.
I will say, if you're asking on like a very basic level, it comes inside this tube that looks like a syringe, and when you push the tube in, the cottony white tampon itself comes out. So you put it in up to the base of the syringe, and you're supposed to point it at your lower back in terms of direction. And then you just like push it, the syringy part in, and then the tampon part goes further up. And then the little string dangles out for when you're ready to pull her on out.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
It's
That
like
was
a
a better-
tampon rocket launcher.
Yes.
Yes.
She's
Yeah.
explaining
Precisely.
Someone wanted to know how to use them. Is the only way you know periods begin is just because there's blood there?
What? No.
Varies per person, but
you have your things like your boobs feel tender and whatnot, but it differs for every person.
Yeah, for me, it feels like someone just stabbed me in the stomach. And then, like, all of a sudden, it happened with Zach. We went out to drinks with Luke from the Wisconsin road trip. And we had gotten our drinks and we sat down, and I was just like sitting there, and all of a sudden I looked at Zach and I was like, do you know where the bathroom is? And I was in the bathroom for like a while because I was trying to figure out how to procure a tampon once I realized what was going on, and I was like texting him like, motherfucker, like, all angry.
Because you don't carry around tampons.
No, I was just mad that it happened. I was like, you don't know the pain. You don't have a vagina. You never had to deal with this. Just like rage texting him from the bathroom. No, you usually feel it where it's like something feels different.
yep.
Okay.
Where are we on this list?
Number 3. It's
think-
not. Oh, it's not on there.
It's a
This is
different.
I was gonna
That one
say-
came
Show
from
notes.
Instagram, and this one came from Chaunce's personal contacts.
How does that not ruin pants?
It does.
Follow-up question: how many pants have you ruined from periods?
Is this from one person?
Some of them are. Yeah.
Used to be a lot more, personally.
I
Like
think
before
maybe,
you
like,
figure
one.
yourself out.
Yeah, before you figure it out. Yeah.
Pants are rare, more rare. Underwear, plenty of.
Oh.
Plenty.
There was another follow-up question that I didn't write down about that was like, can you not wear white pants, in certain times, or are there only safe times to wear white pants?
Only after Labor Day, right?
No, you can't wear them after Labor Day.
Oh, I've had this wrong this whole time.
Yeah, winter, you can't wear white.
So faux pas.
Um,
That's a really good question.
I have
See?
I have just ended my period, and I have had a pair of white pants for like 6 years in my closet, and have never worn them. I didn't even wear them to. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm forgetting.
Is this a fashion choice or a fear of period choice?
I could just
A
end my
period.
period, and I'm like, I can't wear these.
Uh,
Also, what if you accidentally sit in mud?
right.
happens all the time. By the way, for me, it's not mud. It's anyways.
I will say I've got like a certain number of pairs of underwear that have gotten ruined and like stained and like haven't washed out in terms of like now they're ruined and stained. And like I don't throw them out. I'll just keep them and wear them during that time of month because it's like if they stain and get ruined, they are already stained and ruined.
It's like wearing painter's pants or something like
Yes.
that. Like they're
Correct.
already fucked up. Yeah.
These are my painter's pants.
And they have one color.
There's a room of guys when I ask these, and they feed off each other. When a guy comes inside of you, is it an overwhelming feeling?
Wait, particularly on trail?
Just in general.
Well, wow.
I'm mad that I missed any of these questions.
Imagine
These are
These are the same guys that told me the thing about the balls. Just to give you.
Oh, I want to hang out with these guys. They sound like fun.
Imagine the feeling of a Krispy
Yeah,
Kreme
quarters
donut.
Elise has met them at the super soft birthday party.
Feels.
Yeah.
A few of them, yeah.
Experience for yourself and find out.
Cool.
I suppose I could, but until I do. Is that not a question that we're going to answer? Thanks so much, Lee.
She said like a Krispy Kreme donut. Imagine a
The
Krispy
filled
Kreme
ones,
donut.
yeah. Imagine that. And it.
What do
How
you
far
mean?
are we going?
Wait, what do you mean imagine?
Wait,
Yeah, I'm a little lost
Bite
on that
into,
too.
I don't know.
Krispy
I'm
Kremes
the
don't
only
have
thing,
cream
the
in
filled
them.
ones. Are
I've
there
never
filled
had a
ones?
filled
I've never
one.
had one.
Yeah.
How does that tell you what kind of a feeling it is?
I'm just gonna say no because when you, the person who is asking this question, have that experience, we're not also having that experience. I feel like that's where that question is coming from, and it's like no, it does not. Like
It doesn't feel the same.
we don't have that
So,
overwhelming feeling.
As the resident guy in the room, I think he might be asking from like a texture, temperature standpoint. Like, do you feel the substance?
Has he not watched American Pie for himself?
I don't know.
Is that too much?
Okay.
Okay. And do girls like having friends with benefits as much as we do? Like, they say they don't want anything serious, but then they want to hang out, and then they want to hang out more, and then they want to hang out without fucking.
Is this a personal question? This is very personal.
I called my coworker today, and I asked him if he had any questions for girls, and that was his question.
I feel like he's going through something very personal, but also I feel like this is a like kind of a common theme. When you're younger, like I don't know, maybe I'm assuming too much, but I think that it very much depends on the person. Like, yeah, sometimes people aren't straightforward with how they actually are feeling, and
So
they might
he's-
want more than friends with benefits, but they think that's what you want to hear.
To give some context, he only wants, like,
He doesn't want
casual.
anything
He doesn't want
serious.
anything serious, and I think from what I've gathered, he keeps getting girls that are like, "That's cool. I don't want anything serious either." And then they want to hang out more, and then they want to hang out without doing
Well, and I
anything, and
also
then he's like,
think-
"What do you want from me?"
Well, I also think wanting to hang out more doesn't necessarily indicate that they necessarily want something more serious. I think you gotta have really open communication in situations like that, because, you know, like I'm thinking of that. If I started hanging out with someone and then I like hanging out with them, I'm gonna want to hang out with them more. It doesn't necessarily always mean, oh, I want to date you.
Yeah, this guy's
And
for you.
his
isn't it?
ego might be going a little like, oh, she totally wants to date me because she keeps asking to hang out, but like really, she's just trying to uphold her end of the deal. You
Yeah.
never know.
All right, cool. That's that segment, and then our next one.
No, we have more
Oh yeah, we got
from
Instagram ones.
Instagram.
Ask away.
So I just handpicked a few of the ones that I like the best. Do women feel self-conscious about their labia?
I feel like this is probably something that everyone goes through. If you don't know what a labia is, just Google it not on your work computer. It's like it's like
Private
what we
tab.
call a vagina, but it like everyone calls that a vagina, but the labia is the actual part that you see. And I think that people don't talk about it a lot, but I feel like a lot of women are.
Why?
But I would say because they all look different, and like I think there's like, you know, jokes that went around in like middle school about like
Camel toe.
yeah, like camel toes or like having big labia or whatever. And so I think it's like hard to have a reference point. And I will say this might be a little bit unconventional advice, but like maybe go to a strip club and take a look around. I used to live in Atlanta.
A sex therapist.
And you'll realize how normal it is for all of them to be very different.
100%.
I think
As
I've
you get
never
older,
worried.
too, I
I've
think
never thought about it like in that type of a worry. I'm always so worried about like my stomach fat that I'm just like I've never had time to worry about.
Maybe
anything
you have a
else.
really cute vagina.
But like that's
Have
the
you
thing.
ever thought
That's the
about
thing
that?
is you don't know because you don't really look at. I mean, it depends on the person. I don't really go looking at others. I looked at my friend's once because she had a baby and I wanted to know if it looks the same after.
If it came through there.
So she literally propped her leg up on a toilet at a bar and I was just like from below looking up like it looks the same. But apart from that, it's like I haven't really like had much to compare to. Like
I mean,
That's
not
good.
every penis looks the same.
no,
Like,
Yeah.
we are all different, and they're all beautiful, and they're all fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Next
like
question.
that.
Yes.
I liked Elisa's suggestion about going to a strip club.
That's the same.
Well, because porn's not realistic.
What?
I met a stripper one time when I got back from Colorado Trail. I crashed on her couch because I was friends with her friend that was crashing at her house too. Was a guest on the podcast, won't say which one. I asked her
Wait, the guest was a stripper?
The guest was the friend of the stripper.
Oh, okay.
I asked her so many questions.
Yeah.
I learned so much about strippers. It was fascinating.
She's probably the richest person.
That is a top-notch profession.
Yeah.
I used to go to a strip club all the time in Little Rock because I was a bartender, and by the time we closed the bar, that was the only thing open for us to be able to drink. So we went there all the time.
Well, she was saying, like, even if, like, you're a dancer, like, and you go at night, you have to pay to dance. And then when you make your tips, like, you make back what you paid the club. But if you go in the afternoon, because they need girls in the afternoon, if you go, like, within a certain time frame and start your shift then, you don't have to pay. That way they encourage people to start at, like, noon to 3 rather than, like, get there at 10 p.m. Just, like, crazy stuff.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
I really like this question. We talked about it a little bit before the podcast. Do you ever just admire your boobs the way guys admire them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I was trying to think of the question, like, the way that they admire them.
Yeah,
So, like,
Yeah.
like a guy appreciates your breasts. Do you ever appreciate them in the same fashion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know how, like, you can take your, thingy and, like, do the windmill? Like, we can just, like, push ours together, pull them apart, push them together. Like, we can move them up and down. You can do whatever you want with them. They're yours.
Do you have, like, go-to tricks that you do?
No, it's, like, not for pleasure. It's just, like, look at these things that are on my body.
Like, when you're looking in the mirror, is that the first thing that you're going to?
Cleavage? No.
No. And on trail, they get, like, mine did. I had, like, none.
Yeah. I kind of liked that,
I
though.
like it.
I like
The
having...
shirts fit
Yeah.
better.
Everything
Yeah.
fits better. Everything looks better.
But, we're all different sizes
Yeah.
and shapes and all kinds of things. Yeah, of course we love them.
Do we love them for the same reasons that you do? Probably not.
Yeah.
Depends on the girl.
I think this question appeared about 300 times. Do girls poop?
Sure do.
I don't.
I feel like this podcast.
That's why I have brown eyes.
It's all just flushed back up.
I don't know if you need any more proof than Backpacker Radio.
Yeah.
It's true.
Lots of poop everywhere. Why can't you decide what you want to eat when you're hungry?
It's really hard.
Because we like to satisfy other people around us.
I think for me, it's decision fatigue.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's so many other things I decide in a day. I love all food. Make a decision for me.
I'll go through all the different tastes in my head. Like, sometimes I'll just, like, not even intending on ordering food, I'll open DoorDash so I could see different options of types of food, and then I'll, like, try to taste tikka masala in my mouth, or try to taste sushi, or try to taste pizza, and, like, sometimes I just can't find something that sticks, and then I just decide to not eat. And then I get even hungrier, and then, nighttime comes and there's chocolate. But sometimes it's really, really hard.
I don't like stereotypes, but I can say that this one definitely hits very close to home for me, because we'll do the thing where, like, what do you want for dinner? What do you want for dinner? I'm like, you decide. So eventually she'll just be like, you decide. It'll be like, I'll list 4 things. She's like, nah. So I'm like, you need to decide because you don't like anything.
I've seen 2 things on the internet that I thought were great for this. The first is asking them, guess where I'm taking you to dinner tonight, and then take them wherever they guess. And then the second one is someone on, like, the internet on a post that got spread around different pages I follow was, like, saying how there should be, like, a Tinder where you swipe, but it's restaurants, and they let you know when you and the other person have matched on a restaurant. So you can both sit there swiping whatever you want, and then you could see which ones you both match on and then pick.
Patent pending for sure.
Yeah.
Pretty unrelated, but we should take a podcast field trip to Casa Bonita. It was purchased by the South Park guys. They're keeping it alive. Have you guys ever been?
Yeah. The first time I came to Denver, oh my God, I'm still pissed off about this. The first time I came and spent quality time in Denver and, like, decided I was going to accidentally move here, I had to go home to film a wedding. And then on my way back out, I was stopping in Cincinnati because I had previously lived there, chilling with my friend, hanging out. My friend that lived here messaged me, and she was like, you need to get here by 5 p.m. tomorrow. And it was like 6 p.m. the day before, and it was a 17-hour drive. And I was like, that means I have to leave now. Like, why do I have to get there at 5 p.m. tomorrow? She's like, we're going to Casa Bonita. And I had no idea what to expect, but it was like a you need to get here thing. So I drove 17 hours in 24 hours, got to Casa Bonita, went through the little, like, cafeteria line, and sat down and watched the gorilla jump off the diving board, and was just like, what the fuck did I just sleep deprive myself for? Like, I just drove 17 hours for this shit.
Was it worth it?
I never went back. You go once and you're pretty good.
Yeah, I've never been. Okay.
Yeah, I'll go for your first time. I'll pop your Casa Bonita cherry with you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Is my Pokemon card collection a turnoff?
Yes.
Did you bring it on the trail? Because yes. Unless, in 2016 though,
Isn't the
Pokemon
digital-
Go was the thing.
Right.
And I think every trail town we went to, like, people were doing that. And even on trail people were. I didn't get it.
Find a lady who that's not a turnoff for.
Yeah, some people think that's
Sounds out
cool.
there.
Plenty of nerds
Find a
out
lady
there.
with her own Pokemon.
Yeah, and then
I
trade
did date a guy
cards.
in high school that was like a Dragon Ball Z fan. That was something.
I mean, like, I had the Pokemon phase when, like, I was young. Red version was sick on Game Boy.
Red version?
Yeah, the red version. It's the Game Boy games. The normal one, there was like the blue version, and then there was the red version. You can get different Pokemon depending on which game you're getting, and then the only way to collect them all, because there was only like 150 at the time, was to trade with other people. And then they made the yellow version, which was like Pikachu. And then they started adding different Pokemon, and there was just too many, and I got overwhelmed, and I had to get away from it.
Got it.
So.
And this is kind of a good hybrid from the general girl stuff questions and an IG submission. How is privacy/nudity handled on trail/in town? I don't know. Is that even worth addressing?
I don't give a fuck. Like, I will just, like, get changed in the hotel room, and there can be the guys that I'm hiking with in that room, and I'll just announce it. I'll be like, I'm taking my shirt off, and then it's like, if you're looking at me like you're the fucking weirdo, you know? Like, I'm taking my shirt off, here's your warning.
Yeah.
So I don't do anything different, and it's never been a problem.
I mean, I feel like I still wanted my privacy a little bit. Like, I'd be like, oh, like, I'm taking my shirt off, whatever, I'm changing. Like, when you're out there, like, no one really, like, pays that much attention. And so, but, you know, being able to put your tent up and having your own privacy and being able to change in there, you know, that's appreciated, like, that people give you space and stuff. But, yeah, I don't, just, you know, everyone's out there. They have to change clothes in front of everybody.
Yeah, I feel like everyone that in my experience has been really respectful. It's like kind of whatever you, like, if you're like Chaunce, you don't give a fuck, like, no one's like, oh, get away from me. And then if you're someone who's like, hey, please look away, people will respect that. And yeah, and your tent's always a good option if you really don't want anyone to accidentally look over. I think I kind of go the route of like, hey, I'm changing. If there's a lot of people around, there's often not a lot of people around when you're changing. Like, the nice thing about backpacking and going farther into the backcountry is like you're not like at campsites where there's like 50 tents. Like, it's usually you and your trail family, and I usually just like turn around and then do it. Don't announce like.
And finding the people that are respectful around you, you do not have to hike with anyone that's like a total horrible person. Like, go slow or go faster, because, you know, those people do exist, but, like, find people that you feel comfortable around.
Yeah, like, I'm not just whipping my shirt off around, like, anyone I meet on trail. Like, it's usually the trail fam in, like, a motel room or, like, whatever type of context. But, like, it's usually the people that are, like, not wanting to see me with my shirt off, where it's, like, they'd rather not look than look. So they appreciate the heads up, but it's also, like, you know, it's like looking at your sister getting changed. You know, like, they don't want to do that.
And I hiked in my sports bra all through, like, Pennsylvania. So freaking hot.
I did that a lot in the desert too, and no one was ever weird about it.
I'd do it in the rain. That way I wouldn't get my clothes wet.
Also, like, from a nudity perspective, I feel like there is this weird subsection of through hiking where, like, people are randomly naked. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that. It's, well, yeah, well, like, hike naked day, but I've also encountered it just, like, randomly on trail.
Really?
And, like, yeah. And maybe it was just
I need to go
people
to
in the
Nobo.
bubble I happen to be around. And, I mean, it's pretty rare. But, like, if that happened, or when that did happen to me, I could see from pretty far away, like, I was behind the guy. And he, like, as soon as he heard me, he was like, oh, sorry. And, like, covered himself. But I mean, I was kind of like, I don't care, like, I don't know.
Sounds like a chafing nightmare for your back.
Potentially, yeah, that's what I think too, but I don't know.
I just think also it's like we look so good out there, especially on like month 5. Like, I almost don't want to wear clothes. I'm like looking in every mirror I pass, like, god damn, I look so good. Like, there was on the AT towards the end, I just wore my buff as a shirt because I was just like, covers the boobs, I look fucking fit as shit, and it's hot, so buffs the shirt, and I just didn't give a shit.
Yeah. There's also hot springs. You may encounter unexpected nudity.
Yes.
in hot springs. So if that's something that bothers you, I guess is what I'm trying to get at, you might encounter it. But it's not an everyday occurrence, nor is it something that you cannot avoid.
Yes.
Also, anyone that says anything is an asshole, so.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all just humans living in our human bodies.
And I think that wraps the panel portion of the show.
Excellent. My
yeah.
favorite segment coming up. So this segment kind of echoes on our idea for the Wisconsin
This is not
segment.
in the show notes.
I know.
Uh-oh.
It's from that text I said where we're doing the secret segment. We're not telling you about it.
Yeah.
So we had an idea for a Wisconsin-themed segment where we were going to make these cards, and we were going to put Wisconsin city names on them, and I was going to read them and try to pronounce them correctly. Why wait? You know? So we made these cards, and they say different parts of the female body.
Oh, good.
And you're going to define them for us. So I've got the actual definitions, and I will give you the actual definition after we get Zach's definition. But
I'm going to fail this
first one-
miserably. Jenna makes fun of me all the time because I don't know anything.
our first one, you can read it for us.
Mons pubis. That is Latin for your mom's pubic hair.
According to the internet, it actually means the mon pubis, or public mound, is the fleshy area on the pelvic bone where females typically grow pubic hair.
I mean,
So-
not kind of all that
Not
wrong.
mom specific, but, you know.
But like mom in general is the society, the mother. Areola. That's the area around the nipple.
Areola is the pigmented area that surrounds the nipple. It is
Crushing
circular and varies in size from person to person. It contains small glands called Montgomery glands that secrete lubrication to keep the nipple from drying out, especially when nursing.
We already did this. Labia majora. It's the lips.
Yeah, I gave that one away. Oops.
That's okay. The labia majora enclose and protect the other external reproductive organs. Literally translates as large lips. The labia majora are relatively large and fleshy and are comparable to the scrotum in males. They contain sweat and oil secreting glands. After puberty, the labia majora are covered with hair.
Before we go any further, because I have a feeling it's going to end pretty soon, can we just acknowledge the fact that I'm batting 1,000 so far?
Yeah, and I'm also giving you the easy ones first. Here you go.
Bartholin's glands? Ooh.
Bat 1,000 for me.
I've never heard that term in my entire life. So that's the area that creates all the squirting during sex.
These glands are located beside the vaginal opening and produce a fluid or mucus secretion.
I'm going
kinda
to
close.
say that I got that. I'm going to
kinda
say that I got that. Clitoris. That's the thing that doesn't exist.
The clitoris, the two labia minora meet at the clitoris, a small sensitive protrusion that is comparable to the penis in males. The clitoris is covered by a fold of skin called the prepuce? What's that word? Prepuce.
Your guess is as good as
Okay, we
mine.
don't know our own bodies. Which is similar to the foreskin at the end of the penis. Like the penis, the clitoris is very sensitive to stimulation and can become erect.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Side note, why are all these definitions talking about
I
the male
love the way
anatomy?
they're worded.
Like, why is it?
I like that all of them
science is
have
so-
like fleshy in the definition.
That's-
It's so cringy.
I have no problems with the fleshy. It's just like, why is it so male centric? I don't know. Maybe
Probably
that's
because they're
just
trying to
the-
explain it in words they can understand.
Fallopian tubes. I can pronounce it. Is that the tube that the egg travels down?
The fallopian tubes are narrow tubes that are attached to the upper part of the uterus and serve as tunnels for the ova or egg cells to travel from the ovaries to the uterus.
Come on, get out of here. This is
Okay,
easy.
this is going way better than I thought.
Is that like a Italian sauce? Alveoli?
Alveoli seems right.
I don't know. I have no idea. I've never seen that word in
You
my
gotta
life.
define it.
That is like a nice pesto sauce, but like it's more of like it's got like a lemon zest.
Okay. These are milk secreting cells grouped into clusters inside the breasts.
Wow, I didn't. Oh, okay. I had heard that. Sorry.
This one, Leah found this one.
lobules. It's the most sensual part of the ear.
These are collections of alveoli in the breast that secrete milk. The lobules drain into lactiferous ducts, then into lactiferous sinuses that promote milk flow from the nipple.
Learn something every day.
Last one.
Follicular phase is the part of the year where you guys sprout the most amount of pubes.
Sorry, what? How do you think this happens?
I mean, I'm just giving you the definition, the actual definition of that word.
What time of year do you think we sprout the most pubes?
Oh, it's different for every woman, but it happens mostly during the follicular phase.
Okay. This phase starts on the first day of your period. During the follicular phase of the menstrual cycle, the following events occur. 2 hormones, follicle-stimulating hormone, FSH, and luteinizing hormone, LH, are released from the brain and travel in the blood to the ovaries. The hormones stimulate the growth of about 15 to 20 eggs in the ovaries, each in its own shell called a follicle. These hormones also trigger an increase in the production of female hormone estrogen. So that's our segment.
I'm going to give myself a little bit of a pat on the back. I think I did pretty good there.
I think you did better than
I thought you would have done. Yeah.
I know most of
That's better than I thought you were going to do. Here you go. There's your souvenir.
Also, I'm
Thank
curious,
you.
do you think you would have done the same pre-childbirth?
I learned nothing during childbirth.
Okay,
I
good.
swear to
That's
God.
good.
I swear to God. I think because my wife has shamed me about how little that I know about women's anatomy. I think some of it started to stick a little bit more. I think like during health class, it just went over my head and I didn't care to learn. So, yeah, lesson learned. If you want men to learn more about anatomy, just shame them, make them feel bad about it, and then they'll pick it up. To the Trek propaganda portion. To the Trek propaganda portion of today's show. I don't actually have an article, but we just opened up the applications for 2022 bloggers and vloggers. So if you're going to be through hiking next year, go to the show notes. Elise, if you could help us out there.
I got you.
Yeah, but yeah, if you're going to be hitting the trail up next year, we would love to feature you, and the application is now open. Do we have any of these other segments prepared? This has been a long show.
Do we want to do the phone call, or do we want to skip the phone call?
Let's do it in the next show, or should we just do it now?
Possible.
Is it too late?
It's never too late.
10:20. Let's give it a shot. Yeah, let's give it a shot.
Okay, cool. Let me find it.
I will
Read a mailbag or something.
Yeah,
in the
we have a
meantime.
mailbag.
The mailbag is a discussion kind of based question, just as an FYI. The 5-star review, I think, is just like...
Cool. We'll do the 5-star review.
Yeah.
This one is from Chrissy Coves. So glad I found this podcast. This podcast has been great to pique my interest and keep me motivated. The poop talk is a refreshingly honest part of this podcast. As someone who deals with Crohn's disease, it makes me cringe and smile at the same time. Thank you from Bald Bearded Dad AZ.
Cool. Also, we never actually asked for phone numbers on our application, so we can't do this segment. We were going to call our new intern and congratulate them on getting the job, but we actually don't know her phone number. So
Next episode.
There's a hint.
Next episode. We're recording again in a few days, so we'll be good.
Are we? Oh, yeah, we are.
Yeah, we just scheduled it.
Yes.
Mailbag. Someone want to read this?
Something's clicking.
Yeah, it happens.
Okay,
This is
sorry.
a low budget production. The clicking happens.
All right, this one says...
It's the follicular phase.
Yes, it's the follicular... We've entered the follicular phase of our podcast. Hey, Chaunce and Badger, or the current intern. Current? Where are you going? I'm considering the PCT next
She's not
year.
an intern.
That's true.
She's fired.
I'm considering the PCT next year, but have a good friend getting married in Scotland on the 31st of July, 2022. Haven't found helpful hints on planning to get off trail in the podcast or on the trek yet. Got any guidance for me or an episode I'm missing? You guys rock, and thanks for all the poop stories. Of course, I'll share mine when it happens.
Yeah, this one. So, generally speaking, people getting off trail for weddings or whatever, that's a very common thing. The international flight is a little bit more heavy duty. I think like a lot of times, especially in the context of the AT, you can book a flight from Philly, Baltimore, New York, Boston, whatever. Like there's a lot of places where you can exit, so you don't necessarily have to book that far in advance. You can kind of plan it on the fly. For something like this, especially on the PCT where airports are a little bit harder to come by, I don't know what I would do. I would potentially book a flight from like my hometown airport and then maybe get a one-way flight from the closest airport that I could reach to a trail town from wherever I was on the PCT back to my hometown, and then get on that original flight. So I'm not buying an asinine, ridiculously expensive international flight. But this is kind of a tricky one. This is a puzzle.
I would say, I think I've talked on podcasts before about making an itinerary that's a fast, slow, and medium version of what you could be doing. Like plan out what it would hypothetically look like if you were going by a fast pace for whatever your pace is, an average pace, or a slow pace. And figure out where, with your start date, where that puts you by whatever day you would want to fly out by. And you should be in like the general vicinity, no matter which column you're in. But if you find where you're generally located at that time, get a flight out of that airport and then figure out based on each column, like where you could be if you're going really slow versus where you could be if you're going really fast, where you would get off trail and where you would hitch to get to that airport. Ballflap, who actually worked with Lavendar before either of them hiked. He had to go to a wedding when we were on the PCT, and he booked his flight out of Ridgecrest because he knew that we would be roughly done with the desert at that point, or like in the middle of the desert or somewhere in the desert. And it ended up being Casa de Luna, where he hitched out of to go to Ridgecrest to get that flight. But if you can find the general area, then you can figure out, okay, if I'm here versus here versus here versus here, here's how I'm going to get there.
I feel like that's easier when you're plotting out for the end of 700 miles. This person's flying out at the end of July, which like for some people, they might be almost done with the trail. Other people might be at Tahoe. Like that's a pretty big variance.
But based on your own pace, like you're not going to like get on trail and be like, holy shit, I'm doing 40 miles a day.
If this is your first through hike, you could be very slow or very fast. Like you don't even know until you're out there.
I think if it's your first through hike and you plan based on like a conservative guess of what you'll be doing, if you go faster, you can always slow down.
Yeah, I wouldn't want my hike to be based around trying to like hit a flight schedule, which is why I would book the flight from one hub. That way I'm locking in a decent price and then have some flexibility with getting back to that place. That would be my approach. I'm not saying that's the right thing, but that would be my personal approach.
Wait, what's the difference? Aren't you booking out of somewhere regardless?
Because the international flights were going to get expensive. So like if you're booking a flight to Scotland, if you're trying to book it last minute, that could be $2,500.
Oh, so you're saying like book a flight.
So if I'm from New York, I would buy a flight from New York as early as possible, get a good rate,
and then you'll fly from, for example, the PCT. You'll fly from California to New York.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
That would be my approach.
Yeah, because you got to go home and get that like outfit.
I mean, you'll probably have to transfer flights at some point.
And like worst case scenario, if something goes wrong, you would probably be at home.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and also I would say like starting early, just in general, like if you can get the PCTs a little harder because obviously you need to get a permit, but so that you don't have to stress about the time that you're spending off trail or the days that you might need to get to the flight itself. So like obviously the wedding itself, you might say, you'll for sure if you have trail for a week, say you buy your flight out of LA, you're all the way in like up in Oregon at that point. You can get a bus, but it's going to take 3 days. If you don't have to stress about those 3 days, if you give yourself like a little more leeway, that might help.
Also, if this is your real friend that's going to be friends with you forever, they're going to respect that you have a journey as well as their marriage journey.
Very good point. I think that's something that it depends on the level of friend. Like if you're in the wedding party, maybe that's a
yeah.
If that's a
for the maid
sword
of
you're willing to
honor,
fall on. Yeah, exactly.
whatever.
Yeah, it probably should show up. But.
Yeah, but also, I mean, ultimately, you're going on a journey just like them, and that's, a respectable situation.
Totally agreed. So I think it's worth analyzing. Be like, I would love to be there to support you in this endeavor, and can't wait to FaceTime in, but we can still be friends afterward.
Maybe have them put someone on the B list on standby, and then like you can let them know. Within the month prior, if you're actually going to come or not, and then they can tell their B-list friend if they can actually come or not.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, I'm getting married in Kansas. I'd be like, oh, I'll be there. But like Scotland, Scotland's a whole nother experience.
Yeah. Like maybe like not like your B-list friend, but like the person who you're not giving a +1 to who really wants a +1, maybe be like, I'll let you know like the month before if we can fit it in.
Yeah. What I find on Scott's Cheap's flight.
Yeah. That's a tough one. I don't think there's any great answer, but that is how I would handle it. or just not go.
Neat.
Or go do a long trail in Scotland.
Oh yeah, West Highland Way.
They've got many of them, yeah. Okay, this one's getting long. People want to go to sleep and eat pizza, I think. Let's do the Chuck Norris Award winners on Patreon. That is Andrew Austin McDaniel, Christopher Marshburn, Janelle L., Paul Packman Seeley, S11N, Sawyer Products, Brad and Blair from 13 Adventures, Cameron Brown, Brent Stenberg, and Patrick Ciancialo, right? Is that
I
what we
like
just...
to say it the other way when you put the little.
Ciancialo.
Yeah, I like it that way.
It's very Italian.
He
Very
did give us
Italian.
permission to say it how we wanted.
Yeah.
I like that way.
I do like that way. You can follow us on social at Backpacker Radio on Instagram, at Backpacker Pod on Twitter, Facebook.com/Backpacker Radio. You can follow Lavendar.
Oh, wow. What's my name? Tilt Gravity.
Tilt Gravity.
Yeah. Instagram.
Anything else you want to plug? Any initiatives, websites, people you like?
Oh,
things?
wow. So many. No, I think, yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easy enough?
Yeah, I just moved here, so, I mean, in March, from Arkansas. Lots of people I would like to, promote there, but, yeah, no, just Tilt Gravity, me, and then you can see all the things that I share on there.
Awesome. Before we get on, thank you so much for doing this.
Mm-hmm.
This was
Thanks for
awesome.
inviting me. It was fun.
Really appreciate your insight. You can follow Chaunce.
You can find me on Instagram at Juliana_Chauncey, and you can get my book, Hiking from Home, a long distance I can get for family and friends, on Amazon. And also, what Zach left off is you can find us on TikTok at Backpacker Radio.
totally
No
forgot.
way.
We
I
are
think I was dancing.
TikTokers. Not yet. Leah did send us a email that has a whole list of things that are popular on TikTok. That way we can try to be hip with the times.
I want to do the video where people are going like that a lot.
Oh yeah.
What's that one?
Do you questions people ask us as the Cinnamon Connection?
Yeah.
Are you related? No.
Yeah. I would love to do that video very much.
I don't know what that is, but if you tell me what it is, I can learn it.
We'll discuss after.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can follow Elise.
At elise.ott, that's like a period in the middle, on Instagram, and then elise.ott on YouTube.
Always got to bring it back to periods.
Yep, that's why I specified this time.
That's it. Thank you so much for listening and happy hiking.
Bye.